A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Broadcasting Company presents Joel McCrea in Tales of the Texas Rangers. Tonight, transcribed from Hollywood, another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McCrea as Ranger Jace Pearson. Texas, more than 260,000 square miles, and 50 men who make up the most famous and oldest law enforcement body in North America. Now, from the files of the Texas Rangers come these stories based on facts. Only names, dates, and places are fictitious for obvious reasons. The events themselves are a matter of record. Case for tonight, Soft Touch.
It is 11 a.m. on a Sunday in August 1949. A blue sedan comes to a stop in front of a ranch house 30 miles from the town of Salt Flats, Texas. Come on, kids. This Grandma's house. What?
Bill, listen, Sleep. We started so early, they're tired.
Well, we can't leave them in the car.
If we wake them up now, they'll never finish their naps. We'll bring them in a few minutes.
Okay. Getting up at 4 a.m. was kind of early, even for them, huh?
Hey, look. Pa's painted the windmill.
Oh, Bill, I love this place. I wish we didn't live so far away.
Yeah.
We don't get here often enough.
Hey, wonder where the folks are. They usually stand in the middle of the road waiting for us when they know we're bringing the kids for a visit.
Oh, the door's open. Your mother's probably in the kitchen cooking enough food for a dozen.
Yeah. Don't smell anything cooking.
Ma?
Pa? You home?
Maybe they're still at church, then.
No, they're always back by 10 o'clock. The garage door was closed, too.
Always leaves it open when he's got the car aft.
Oh, then they must be in back someplace.
Yeah. Hey, Ma? Ma, where are you?
I've never known your mother to be any place but in the kitchen, Bill.
Yeah, but she doesn't hear so well anymore. Let's take a look. Ma? Nobody here, Judy.
Bill, what's that spilled on the floor at the door to the pantry?
Huh? Hey, Judy, it looks like blood.
Bill.
Ma! Oh! Oh, good Lord. Mom! Dad!
Bill, honey, come away. Come away.
The brutal murder of the rancher and his wife was reported. Texas Ranger Jace Pearson was notified by shortwave radio. He reached the ranch house less than 1 hour after the bodies were discovered.
I'm sorry to have to ask questions at a time like this, Mr. Ross.
It's all right. My kids are asleep in the car, though. Mind if my wife takes them in town?
I won't leave you here, Bill.
Please, honey, I'll be all right. I don't want the kids to come in here or even know about this.
Might be best, ma'am.
I'll meet you at the hotel later.
All right, honey.
Better tell me anything you know, Mr. Ross.
Yeah. Well, we drove out from Fort Worth this morning. That's my home now. I'm a commercial artist. This is the first time we've been here in 5 months.
Hello, Sheriff. Howdy, Ranger. Your wife told us to come right in, Bill. I sure am sorry. I'd have known something was wrong when I didn't see your folks at services this morning. They never did miss.
You better go on with what you were telling me, Mr. Ross.
With nothing else to tell. Judy noticed the blood in the kitchen by the pantry door.
Okay. Better take a look at him, Sheriff.
All right.
Just one thing more, Mr. Ross. Your parents have any enemies you know of?
No.
Jed and Martha Ross never made an enemy in their whole lives, Ranger.
Say, you don't want me to go in there with you, do you?
No, it won't be necessary. Just take it easy.
Kitchen's here. They took a pretty cruel beating, Ranger.
Yeah. No sign of a weapon, though. Okay, help me move the old man's body a little, will you?
Right. Easy here. Here.
A lot of heavy welts, but beaten to death and then put in here. Blood comes mostly from hemorrhaging, though, not so much from cuts.
You'd think a weapon would have cut him up more than that. Unless it was wrapped in something.
Only one other thing I can think of. Bare fists.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's this?
Let me see. Oh, just a little hunk of paper.
Yeah, crumpled, too. Piece of a larger sheet. Rest of it must have been torn away. Feels like a good grade of letterhead paper.
Mean anything to you?
Well, if we find the rest of the paper this came from, no. But if we don't, it could mean plenty.
Like what?
And the way this is crumpled might have been part of something the old man was hanging on to, and somebody tried to get it away from him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to send this into our lab at Austin.
Looks like this happened sometime last night.
That's something we'll know when we get an autopsy report. Called to have the bodies and the piece of paper picked up. Then we checked around the outside of the house. The gravel road wouldn't hold a car track. But behind the house, we found marks where a horse had been tied. I got charcoal out of the trailer, and the sheriff got a horse from the ranch barn.
You went right toward the southeast quarter. Ross has 200 acres and cotton down there.
Yeah, I see it.
Might have ridden over there yesterday on one of his own horses.
No. Horse that made this trail wasn't one of Ross's. Pony we're following has a spread hoof. Whoa. Look. See the marks? Bar across the frog on the right forefoot.
Wondered why you were checking the shoes on the horses back there in the barn.
Yeah, that's why. Who owns the adjoining place? Other side of the cotton.
Big Chuck Whitaker.
Now let's get moving. I want to have a talk with this Big Chuck Whitaker. Come on, Charlie.
Here, boy.
Yeah, I was over there yesterday afternoon, but I didn't kill nobody.
Well, that's very interesting, Mr. Whitaker, because we didn't tell you anything about anybody being killed.
I know you didn't, Ranger. My phone happens to be on the same party line as the Ross Ranch. I heard their son Bill call when he found him this morning.
You make a habit of listening in?
I had a call to make. I picked up the phone I heard. Couldn't help it. Now, if you're through asking questions, I'd like to go back to mending this harness.
That can wait, Chuck.
You're not exactly broken up about losing your neighbors.
Ranger, I got troubles enough of my own.
Why did you go to Ross's yesterday? What time were you there?
In the evening, just before sundown. Ross was fixing to have some crop dusting done again. I wanted to talk to him about it.
About doing the job for him?
No, Ranger, the crop dusting plane comes down from Salt Flats.
Oh. Well, go ahead, Whitaker.
Yeah, last time Ross dusted a spray he carried over on my place. Some of my cattle watered down near that cotton. Made them sick.
Yeah, Ross say he'd watch out for it?
Yeah.
That was all?
That was all. Then I come home.
All right, Whitaker. Come on, Sheriff.
Right.
All right, Chuck.
Yeah.
Easy, boy. Here. Hey, wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah, I just saw something. When I left Ross's place just before dark, a car drove up as I came around the house.
Who was in it?
Man, that's all I know.
You didn't see his face?
No. The only thing that makes me think of it was something I noticed. Car wasn't from around here.
How do you know?
They had one of them fancy frames around the license plate. You know the things I mean, that got the name of the town stamped on it.
Did you notice the stamp?
Yeah. Car was from San Antone.
San Antone, huh? Thanks.
Yeah.
Let's go, Sheriff. Get up, Chuck.
Here. Good thing you noticed that car and remembered it. I'd be a big help.
Yeah. Might be a big lie, too. That man's hard.
He just acts hard, Ranger. Kind of sour since his wife ran off with one of his cowhands a few years back. But he don't need no harm.
Maybe not.
He makes a bad impression. He's liable to send more flowers to Ross' funeral than most anybody around.
I've known killers to do that before, too. We checked other ranchers in the area, but we didn't get any information until next morning at the sheriff's office.
Morning, Jace. Heard anything from your headquarters yet?
No, waiting for him to call me now. And what's that, the autopsy report?
Yeah. Medical examiner seems to agree with your idea. Death might have been caused by a beating with fists.
Pretty thorough job of beating. You read this?
Yeah.
Old woman died of a broken neck. Struck right at the base of the brain. Rabbit punch.
Yeah. Old man Ross hemorrhaged to death, like you said.
Broken jaw, broken nose, ribs smashed in under the heart. Vessels ruptured from being beaten on the kidneys and in the solar plexus.
I'd like to get my hands on anybody who'd do that.
If you did get your hands on him, you'd have your hands full. Whoever did it was big, and he could hit. Plenty hard and in just the right spots.
You still got Chuck Whitaker on your mind?
Only because he fits the bill in a few ways.
Never hurt nobody before.
No, but he's a bitter man. That kind can...
Excuse me. Hello? Yes, he's here. Here. For you, Jace. Captain Stinson calling long distance.
Thanks. Hello, Cap.
Hello, Jace. Just got a report on the scrap of paper you sent in. Special type. The paper stock indicates the original sheet was a letterhead printed in the government printing office in Washington.
You know which bureau?
No, but we're checking.
Try and find out if any department there has had any correspondence with Jed Ross recently.
That's what we're doing. But don't expect anything in a hurry.
I won't.
Bye, Jace.
Bye, Captain.
You find out where the paper come from?
Yeah, some government office in Washington. You been checking on that car from San Antonio?
One Whitaker told us about? Yeah. Nobody I found saw it. How about you?
Nobody. Seems like the only one did see it was Chuck Whitaker.
I hate to admit it, Jace, but it's beginning to look that way.
Let's get our horses. I want to see Whitaker again.
When you've known a man all your life, you hate to think he's a murderer. On the other hand, you hate to see a neighbor get killed, too.
Whitaker's telling the truth. He's got nothing to worry about.
I feel mighty sorry for young Bill Ross. He was all busted up at the funeral parlor. Tough for him to take it alone, but he made his wife and kids go back to Fort Worth.
He the only child?
Bill? Yeah. Only one living, that is. Had a sister, Joan. Nicest girl as you'd ever see.
What happened to her?
She was a Navy nurse. Got killed in the Solomon Islands during the war. Ross has sure had that sheriff trouble, all right.
Kind of trouble somebody ought to pay for.
Hey, look. There's Whitaker now on a pony coming toward us. Just rode out of the gully.
Yeah. Get up, Charlie.
Up, boy. Whoa.
Oh, boy. You're coming back to see me, huh?
That's right, Whitaker.
You think I've been lying to you, don't you, Ranger?
Now, take it easy, Chuck.
Get one thing straight, Whitaker. I got nothing against you or any man, not personally. But I do intend to find the man who killed your neighbors.
Well, then you can stop looking around my place. Sheriff, I rode out to meet you because your office called. You both wanted back in town.
Why?
Because I ain't blind and I ain't lying. One of the sheriff's deputies has found somebody else who saw that car from San Antonio.
You are listening to Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McCrea as Ranger Jace Pearson. And now we continue with tonight's case, Soft Touch.
We went back to town and from there to a roadside cafe about 15 miles out the state highway.
Yeah, I sure did see the car, like I told the deputy. It had that thingamajig on the license plate. Noticed it when I give him some gas.
Are you sure it was on Saturday, huh?
It sure was. About 5 o'clock, I'd say.
Guess there's not much traffic from San Antone comes through here, does it, Sheriff?
Nope, we're off the main U.S. highways. Anybody coming down here on a state road would have to have some business around here someplace.
You remember the man in the car?
No, I sure do. After I give him the gas, he come in for some coffee.
Can you describe him?
Oh, well, 3 days ago, but he's better than 6 feet, maybe 200 pounds. Then, of course, there was his face.
What was wrong with it?
Well, Sheriff, his face looked like he tried to bulldog a steer on rocky ground and lost. It sure was scarred up.
He bleeding any place?
Oh, no, Ranger. I didn't mean fresh scarred. I reckon he's looked that way for a long time.
And when he left here, you drive on toward Salt Flats?
He sure did. Wasn't nobody else in here when he stopped nor when he left, so I didn't have nothing much to do, and I was watching when he drove off.
He was going in the direction of the Ross Ranch, all right.
Yeah. But who was he?
That's what I'm going to find out, if I can. Bill Ross said he's a commercial artist, didn't he?
Yeah, why?
Because I want to bring him out here, get a detailed description of that face, and see if Ross can draw something that comes close to it. We sent for Bill Ross, but before he joined us at the sheriff's office, something else turned up. A long-distance call from Captain Stinson.
We found out what that letter from Washington might have been, Jace.
Good, Captain. Let's have it.
Well, it might have been from the Veterans Administration. Answer to a letter Jed Ross wrote asking if they had any record of a United States Marine named Herbert Walsh.
What else?
Well, for some reason, Ross wanted to know if there really had been a Herbert Walsh in the Corps, and especially if he'd been wounded and hospitalized in the Solomon Islands. The piece of paper you sent in might have come from the answer the Vets Administration sent to Ross.
What was the answer?
There's no record of a Herbert Walsh, Jace. Does it fit anything?
I don't know, Captain. But the Rosses lost a daughter in the Solomons, a Navy nurse. Oh, Bill Ross just came in with the sheriff. I'll get on it. Bye.
Bye, Jace.
Ross, does the name Herbert Walsh ring a bell with you?
Yes. Yes, Ranger, it does. My father told me about him in a letter 2 months ago.
You know who he is?
No, I never saw him. Folks wrote that he stopped by the ranch and told him my sister had taken care of him in Solomon's before she got killed.
Is that all?
No. According to my father's letter, Walsh gave my folks the idea that he and my sister had been very close.
Had your sister ever mentioned him in letters to your folks when she was overseas?
Well, they couldn't remember, but we were awful fond of my kid sister, Ranger. Anybody who'd known her would have found an open door with my folks.
Somebody found one, all right. Too open.
What do you mean?
There isn't any Herbert Walsh.
What? But my pa gave him some money.
When? Did he write to you about that?
No, but I've just been going over my father's affairs. In the past 2 months, he loaned Walsh several $100s. I have the canceled checks.
Where are the checks?
At the lawyer's office on the corner.
I want to see where those checks were cashed. Come on.
Jace, you figure this Walsh is a phony working the old war buddy racket?
Of course he is. But with a new angle. A dead girl.
What do you mean?
I mean that families of servicemen and women open their hearts too easily to strangers they think might have been close to somebody they loved.
You mean Walsh killed my family?
Your father must have suspected him. He wrote to Washington and found out Walsh had never been in the Solomons or the Marines. And when Walsh came the last time, your father called his hand with a letter he'd gotten from the VA.
Here's the building where the lawyer is.
Here are the checks, Ranger. 4 of them, total of $600.
Endorsed by Walsh. Cashed for him by merchants in San Antone.
That car came from San Antone, Jace. That sure fits.
It sure does. Let's get out to that cafe and get that sketch drawn up.
No, it weren't quite like that around the eyes. There was marks around the eyebrows.
She means scar tissue.
Oh. See, eyes deeper set then. Like this?
Oh. Yeah, sure was. The nose didn't come out so far. It had a kind of a dent in the middle.
Yeah. Here. Like that?
Hey, that's fine. It's real good.
If somebody knew the man, would they recognize him from that?
They sure would. That's almost a spitting image, I'd say.
Thanks a lot, ma'am.
You're sure welcome.
I'll take that bill. Thanks again.
Come back.
Well, you ain't the prettiest fellow I ever saw.
I don't know. My folks said that, too. But Walsh told him he'd been in a Jap prison camp, been treated bad.
Walsh was lying, if Walsh is his real name.
Must have got beat up someplace, Jace.
Yeah, and I've got a hunch I know where.
What do you think?
In a prize ring. The man who killed your folks was a professional fighter.
You figure that just because of his face?
And one other thing, don't forget that autopsy report, Sheriff.
That's right. Well, you remarked right then that the fellow who threw those punches knew what he was doing.
I'd sure like to get my hands on him. Two old people, getting them through my kid's sister.
Don't think about your own revenge. The law will take care of that.
Yeah, but no law can bring them back to life.
Drop you at the office, Bill, you and the sheriff. I'll be in touch with you later.
Where are you going, Jace?
Out of your territory. San Antone.
All right, come on, Fred. Throw that 1-2 faster. Faster. Come on, roll with it. That's it.
Now, let me see, Ranger. Well, I've seen that face before, sure. Well, been some time, but he used to train here all right. Heavyweight. Wait a minute. Hey, Pop, come here. Pop is the world's oldest fight fan, knows every fighter in his record for the past 50 years. Maybe he can tell you something.
Yeah, what can I do for you?
You know a man who looks like this?
Yeah, I've seen him before.
His name Walsh?
Walsh, nothing. That's Eddie Pola. Never did amount to anything. Had a punch like a bullocks, but no science. Wide open for a left hook. Had 31 fights and ended up...
fine, Pop. Hold on. Ranger don't care about all that.
The main thing I want to know is, when did you see him last?
Oh, 6-7 years ago.
That long ago?
Well, ain't long enough to suit me. Pola never should have been allowed in the ring. He wasn't the kind of fighter that loved the sport. He liked to hit men to ruin him, that's what.
You have no idea where I might find him?
Well,
Not me, Pop.
no.
Well, thanks for your help.
Yeah, you're welcome, stranger.
Why, sure. Glad to help, Ranger.
Hey, wait a minute, Ranger.
Yeah?
I just remembered. There was a gal Pola used to hang out with. Name was, Dolly Richards. She might know where he is.
Do you know where I might find her?
Well, she used to work in the box office at the Empire Theater. That's all I know.
Thanks. I'll try it.
You planning to arrest Eddie Pola?
That's my plan, all right. Why?
Well, don't surprise me none, you understand, but let me give you some advice.
Go ahead.
Watch yourself in the clinches if you find him, Ranger. He's tough with 9 miles of unpaved road. He's bad medicine. And he won't be fighting by the rule books if he knows you want him.
Thanks, Pop. I'll be careful.
Yeah, being careful ain't enough. Get off first. Remember, he's a sucker for a left hook. If he gets a chance to hit you good, he won't stop till he kills you.
I checked the Empire Theater for Pola's girl, Dolly Richards, but she hadn't been seen for years. I put through a call to headquarters asking them to check auto registration for one in Pola's name. It was late afternoon when Captain Stinson got back to me by phone.
The car he was using must have been stolen, Jace. There's nothing registered in that name.
You checking for a criminal record on him?
Yeah, but there's nothing in this info. I just sent teletypes off.
I'll have to wait a while then.
Nothing else you can do, Jace. So long.
Hey, wait a minute, Captain.
What?
Take one more crack at the License Bureau in Austin. See if they have a car registered to Dolly Richards.
Dolly Richards? Well, who's she, Jace? Pola's girlfriend?
She was. Let's hope the torch is still burning. I didn't move from the phone until the captain called back. This time he had something.
Here it is, Jace. Car registered to Dolly Richards. Texas license T49753. Her address is RFD number 4 on Farm Highway 73. It's a turnoff north of Tilden.
Well, that doesn't sound right to me, Captain. Car I want had San Antone marked on the license plate frame.
That's still all right, Jace. Dolly Richards bought the car 6 months ago from a San Antone dealer. Frame might have been on there.
That's better. Any out-of-state record on Pola?
Not yet. You want to wait another hour or so?
No. You can give me word by short wave. I'm heading toward Tilden.
KTXA, Unit 10.
Unit 10. Go ahead, KTXA.
Report on subject Eddie Pola. Served 3 years Leavenworth.
impersonating Army officer and using mail to defraud. 1 year, Oklahoma State Penitentiary for fraud. 1 year, Louisiana, assault.
10-4, Unit 10, clear.
KDXA, Austin.
I took the turnoff north of Tilden, headed for the sprawling country ridden by Farm Highway 73. It was midnight when my headlights picked out the mailbox and the name D. Richard. I left the car on the road and slipped up to the house. It was dark. I knocked.
All right, Eddie, all right. Don't blow your top. What a tired kitty.
Pola isn't home, huh?
Pola? I don't know anybody with that name.
You can save the static, lady. Where was he last Saturday night?
He was right here with me.
During the late afternoon and evening?
You heard her, Ranger.
Oh, Eddie, I didn't know you was in. He knocked, and I thought you'd forgot your key.
All right, Dolly, shut up. Like we said, Ranger, I was here last Saturday.
I know somebody who says you weren't. Described you well enough for this to be drawn. Good likeness, too, Pola.
I was here. What are you going to prove with a drawing?
I'm not going to prove anything with a drawing. But I'm going to have an eyewitness prove that you were near Salt Flat Saturday when Jed and Martha Ross were murdered.
Murdered?
Shut up, Dolly.
Forget to tell her about that part of it, eh, Pola? Maybe you forgot to tell her about the checks to Herbert Walsh, the Marine the VA never heard of. Where's that letter you ripped out of the old man's hand?
All right, Ranger, I'll show you. Come in. Yeah, it's over here, eh?
The old boy at San Antone Jim told me you were open for a left hook, Pola. Now, don't try that again. Get on your feet and turn around. You too, miss.
Why me?
So I can cuff you together.
What are you taking me for?
For harboring a murderer. And to give you a chance to decide whether you want to stick to your story or tell the truth. All right, move.
Dolly Richards turned state's evidence against Eddie Pola. Pola was tried, convicted, and sentenced to death in the electric chair.
And now here again is the star of our show, Joel McCrea.
Many years ago, a group of Texas Rangers had a showdown battle with a notorious band of killers. Several days later, the Rangers assigned to the case staggered back to their headquarters, showing the marks of combat, many of them badly wounded. The captain of the company, too impatient to wait for a written report, went to the barracks where the men were cleaning up and tending to their wounds. What happened, the captain asked. There was silence for a moment as the Rangers looked up at him. Finally, one of them said, "Oh, nothing much, Cap. We had a little shooting match, and they lost. Good night, folks. See you again same time next week."
Joel McCrea in another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. Joel McCrea is currently seen starring in the Universal International Technicolor production Saddle Tramp. Tonight's cast included Tony Barrett, Paul Freese, Mike Barrett, Tom Tully, Bill Johnstone, Byron Kane, and Virginia Gregg. This story was transcribed and adapted by Joel Murcott, and the program was produced and directed by Stacy Keach. This is Hal Gibney speaking.
Three chimes mean good times on NBC. The chimes are really excited about a big show. In fact, it's the big show. An hour and a half every Sunday with Tallulah Bankhead as Fem-C, and starring Jimmy Durante, Fred Allen, Jack Carson, Groucho Marx, Jose Ferrer, Meredith Wilson, and many, many more. All this and Tallulah, too. No wonder it's the big show. The premiere date is Sunday, November 5th, just 1 week from today.
Bill Harris reminding you that next it's Theater Guild on NBC.
Tales of tomorrow. Tales beyond human imagination until they happen. Tales of tomorrow. Story number 3. Betelgeuse Bridge by William Penn. This is your host, O Mentor, saying hello for ABC. Today, we members of the human race, politely speaking, are taking ourselves for granted as the kings of the universe. But are we kings? I should like to tell you the tale of tomorrow from Galaxy Science Fiction magazine. It should make us wonder if actually perhaps there are creatures alive somewhere compared to whom human intelligence is middling closer. Future time, two most strange and amazing bodies have landed upon Earth. Intelligence far superior to the keenest human genius. Betelgeuse Bridge.
The observation is tremendous. You would never think it possible for creatures of their forbidding appearance to be so completely gracious and charming. But while the official welcome is underway, speculation is high as to the civilization and they represent. Their home on a distant planet.
Well, can we say our mission has been successful?
So far only.
Oh, you look ready for the grave, Dick. Why don't you get lost for a couple of weeks and catch up on your rest?
I can't even afford a nervous breakdown. It'd be a lot more satisfying.
What's left to do?
I'll tell you better if you tell me, what are these strange creatures after down here?
You really think they want something?
I don't know what to think. That's why I'm wearing bags under my eyes. Honey, I don't know about you, but I don't feel I can afford to sleep. You're probably wondering who I am and how I came to be mixed up in what we'll call La Terre Betelgeuse. So let me fill you in. We can start with that day when the alien spaceship landed outside of Baltimore. Makes you sick to think how we never tumbled, doesn't it? No more than a hop, skip, and a jet from the capital. Security was clamped down tighter than a mason shop. Personally, my old sociology prof was ferried in by jet plane after the problem had become clear. We solved it for him without batting an eyelash. I was the answer. Within an hour, my entire staff and I were flushed out of our New York offices by the government agents and airmailed to a barley field near Baltimore. The field was alive with Washington grass, coattails flapping in the wind. Hey, so you finally got here. Finally? I couldn't even pack a two-step, Professor Truson. Time is important, my boy. Did anyone explain? Something about a spaceship is all I... Is that it? That over there? Doesn't look much like our notion of one, does it? A spheroid. A Rococo spheroid. And the curious thing is that there's not a sign of a rocket motor. Any sign of life on it? That's the really remarkable part. Come along, you'll have to meet our distinguished visitors. How will they know what I'm saying? We had Dr. Warbury out here. For your information, they learned English from him in 2 hours. 2 hours? What an IQ. Superhuman. Get that, Dick. This will be very important in what you have to do. The best engineering minds this country can assemble are like a crowd of South Sea Islanders in comparison. These creatures belong to a galaxy-wide civilization. We're a backward hicks in an unfrequented corner of space that's to be opened up for exploration. Exploration, that is, if we measure up. Exploitation, probably, if we don't. Where do they come from? Betelgeuse. 9th planet of the star Betelgeuse. That's their home base. I see. Now, here's the plan. We're leaving the technical stuff to brains like Lopez and Minter. They're already going psychotic trying to locate a power source in that contraption. I'll bet. Your job is more immediate. You're the good impression part of the program. What's the matter with our government gland at it? When you see our distinguished guests, you'll understand why this problem is completely different. It's as though they're coming out of the ship now. They're right in time. Yes, here they come. Oh? Oh, yes. Why, they look like snails. Human mollusks, if you like. 9 feet of slimy green trunk with a pink shell where the back should be. And those eyeballs waving around on the end of their stalks, I know. Positively ghastly. There's a picture where their mouths. Aside from those eye stalks, they've got no face. The mouth is where their feet should be. What? You'll see it when they lift an edge of that wide base they stand on. Such a little
Now do you see where a public relations job comes in?
Monsters from outer space. That the kind of talk you're worried about?
Probably worse. Snails with superiority complexes. Dirty snails would be more likely. Remember your own reaction and think what it would be when whipped to mob hysteria by scare headlines.
Yeah, now I see why you wanted a public relations man.
We don't want them carrying stories back to their civilization of being shot at by a suspended fanatic. Or about somebody who screamed, "Go back where you came from, you foreign seafood." We want to give them the impression we're a fairly amiable, fairly intelligent race. This we can be dealt with reasonably well.
So they set up trading posts on this planet instead of garrisons. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Hold it. They've seen you when they're coming over to get acquainted.
What? They knew I was coming?
They know who everybody is. This is Mr. Dick Rose. He told you about it.
Glad to know you.
You, honored sir, are our touchstone. The link with all that is great in your noble race. Your attention is truly a tribute.
I'll do my best. Are you, ambassador, sort of, or explorers?
Our small work justifies no titles. Yet we are both. All communication is ambassadorship of a kind, and any seeker after knowledge is an explorer.
That's a foolish question.
My companion is what you would call the observer of our expedition. My own poor task is merely to act as our spokesman. You may depend upon our utmost obedience in anything you ask. We understand your awesome function, and we wish to be liked to whatever extent it is possible for such miserable creatures as ourselves. We place ourselves entirely in your hands.
Well, thanks. Thanks a lot. You can understand what a job I say. All those years of lurid magazine covers showing females menaced by assorted monstrosities, the horror movies, the invasion from outer space novels, the Sunday supplement sight flashes. All those sturdy psychological ruts I had to retract. The government offered me a month for the preparatory propaganda. At the end of the first week, I settled down with my secretary to check our schedule. And this will give you an idea of the magnitude of our little chore.
Here's a checklist and progress chart you asked for, Dick.
We have to put a girl on the full time to keep up to date, Sandy. Take down these latest developments.
Right.
The scientific articles from Wilson's men have come in and are being sugared up here in the office. Magazine maps are being ripped apart and held open for them. They'll appear in the newsstands next week.
Did you persuade those magazines to...
Now, the government boys handle that, thank heaven.
What about the newspaper censorship?
Well, they had features in the wire yesterday describing humble creatures who create our gardens, snail racing, the spectacular new sport, and the basic unity of all living things.
And if the public doesn't like snails after this barrage, what more can you do?
Plenty. We're going to hit them on the head with a video show starting next Tuesday. It'll be carried on all major networks at the same time.
That sounds great.
Those two little snails are going to climb right into America's heart. The public will eat them up.
What do you call them?
Andy and Dandy. Cute?
How can they miss?
We got 14 top writers collaborating on the script. Added to the video show is the comic strip. The movie's going to take a little longer, but there'll be a full-length Andy and Dandy cartoon playing every city across the country.
This campaign is genius, Mr. Rose. You're a genius. You realize there's never been anything like it in history.
May there never be anything like it again. We bombarded the public through every channel of communications open to us. We changed the centuries-old prejudice against snails practically overnight. You can understand all this means for speed, of course. When the big announcement came, that had to be handled exactly right, or all our pro-snail propaganda would blow up on our faces. Handouts to the newspapers were carefully prepared, along with 10 suggested headlines. When release time came, even the Times was forced to shriek, Andy and Dandy blow in from Betelgeuse. And under that, a 4-column cut of Baby Ann Joyce with the snails. After that, the nicknames Andy and Dandy stuck. But while everything was progressing nicely on the outside, the picture behind the scenes was dark and gloomy. I flew down to Washington to check with Wilson, who was making his headquarters at the Pentagon.
Close the door, will you, Dick?
Oh, sure, Professor.
Now, I can talk frankly. Things are not going well, son.
Professor, nothing produced on Earth ever got such a warm reception as these characters are enjoying.
You ought to be congratulated.
Standard stuff. Pose them with the Orange Blossom Queen. Pose them with Idaho potatoes and Milwaukee beer. Pose them laying a cornerstone. And by all means, pose them with some Hollywood starlets from Malibu Beach. Been working for years.
We certainly can't complain about their spirit of cooperation, at least their apparent cooperation.
Meaning what?
Look at that sheaf of notes.
The size is impressive.
The results of 4 months of questioning. 4 months of painstaking interrogation by trained sociologists. And we don't know as much about Betelgeuse 9 as we do about the social structure of Atlantis.
What's the matter? Want to talk?
They'll talk your ears off. It comes out like a good political speech where everything sounds wonderful and packed with importance. And then you find out there hasn't been a blip of things said. Look here. Listen to this recording we made. Andy was asked if his government was a democracy. This is what he said.
A democracy is a rule of the people according to your rich etymology. We could not, in our lowly tongue, have expressed it so succinctly and movingly. One must govern himself, of course. The degree of governmental control on the individual must vary from individual to individual and in the individual from time to time.
That should be enough to give you an idea of what we're up against.
For 10 cents a word, that guy'd make a fortune. Well, what about the technical department?
Mainzer, you mean?
Mainzer and Vinci and Lopez. They're still hunting the power source in that spaceship, aren't they?
And not doing much better than I am.
Maybe Andy and Andy don't think we're old enough to play with matches.
If that's true, why should they give us free run of their ship?
And again, on the other hand, why should they give us such pleasant and courteous answers, adding up to nothing?
They're such complex and artistically minded creatures, chock full of poetic sentiment and good manners, that it's impossible to get mathematical or verbal sense out of their talk.
Well, that spaceship should be some kind of clue to their civilization. Looks like one of those delicate jade carvings that took a lifetime to accomplish.
It goes with their highly polished manners. Basically, it's reminiscent of civilizations that have developed to the point of decay here on Earth.
Well, at least we're perfectly clear about what we want to know from them. And it still leaves the big question, Professor. What do they want from us?
I know. And if we can't learn anything about them, we're going to be in a sad bargaining position when we do find out what they want.
I'd say we'll be like the Indians who paddled out in their canoes to meet the first white man. Just about that naive. There were more immediate things to worry about. A debate was going on in the UN General Assembly, where America was being accused of importing extraterrestrial help to conquer the world. Every other country was clamoring for Andy and Andy. We finally had to turn them over for a grand tour of the whole planet. It was the same thing abroad. They were all things to all people. In Russia, they delivered a ringing speech on the scientific validity of communism. In Bern, they lauded Switzerland as the mother of democracy and praised the capitalist system. And so it went. But the big shocker came when they got back to the States. They were hardly off the boat before Gibney grabbed them for Celebrity Salon, his evening TV show.
To appear on this star-studded ark are charming visitors from outer space, Andy and David. And now, as usual, Andy, I suppose you'll act as spokesman.
That is the lowly task assigned to me.
Okay, then, we've got some questions I'm sure all the folks at home would like to ask you if they have the chance.
We're pleased, of course, to make ourselves as well known to your delightful countrymen as they would care to have us.
Thank you very much for your very clear answer. Andy, we'd like to know if you aren't just a little anxious to get home to the wife and children.
That is a very reasonable question, I am sure. But it's necessary to understand that we do not have a division of the sexes such as you know on this planet.
Well, at least you don't have to worry about your mother-in-law. But Andy, what ties do you have with your home planet?
Chiefly with the revitalizer, I should say.
Revitalizer? What's a revitalizer?
A machine. We must expose ourselves to it every decade or so. There is at least one revitalizer in each of our major cities.
And what does this do?
Very simply, the revitalizer generates cytoplasm in all animal cells and refreshes them.
And they pause every decade that refreshes. So, what have you as a result?
You might say we have no fear of any degenerative disease. And by exposing ourselves to revitalizers at regular intervals, we quintuple our life expectancy. That is to say, we live 5 lifetimes instead of the one which should properly be our lot.
Please, be quiet and we'll continue the interview.
Newspaper extras in 52 languages. Radio and TV news flashes every 15 minutes. Lights burning late at night over at the UN headquarters. Andy and Dandy were requested to make a special appearance before the General Assembly the following day, and they accepted graciously, as usual. President Sadu conducted the interview in the Assembly before the representatives of all nations. We have asked our illustrious visitors from space to discuss the matter of revitalizers. Is there some reason, sir, why you have not brought up the matter before now?
To be perfectly truthful, it had not occurred to us, since the revitalizers are an everyday matter to us. We could not be aware that you would attach unusual significance.
Excuse me, it is of no matter. Not now. The important thing is that we must have revitalizers to rid ourselves of all disease and increase the span of life.
Unfortunately, our race does not manufacture these machines for export.
But you must now understand, sir, that they are of vital interest to us.
Undoubtedly, you richly deserve these life-giving mechanisms, but I can only repeat that none are available.
What would your people want? We will pay almost any price within the power of this entire planet.
I am stunned by the magnitude of your offer, but can think of nothing which would persuade our people to supply another planet.
Surely there must be something which we on Earth have to offer.
Excuse me if I may consult with my companion for a moment. We are embarrassed to think that our sluggish minds can conceive of nothing at the moment which would make an exchange possible. However, we are agreed that it would be advisable to consider further before closing the matter entirely.
You two agree to that?
It is the least we can do in return for the many kindnesses you have shown us during our visit.
Then please, sir, please do your very best to think of something. We must have those machines. President Sadu of the United Nations personally escorted Andy and Dandy back to their ship, which now sat in a restricted area in Central Park. Then the world chewed its fingernails for 6 days while the two snail men sat inside, presumably in solemn contemplation of the matter. On the 7th day, they emerged and immediately rushed before a special session of the General Assembly. Distinguished sirs, you have reached some conclusion in this matter.
It has finally occurred to my companion and me that a way may be open to an exchange.
You have only to name it.
Let me explain that our own planet is woefully in short supply where radioactive elements are concerned.
Yes.
Barren worlds containing radium, uranium, and thorium have been discovered and claimed by other races. Our own folk of Betelgeuse 9 are forbidden by our ethics to wage aggressive warfare for territorial aggrandizement. And we are therefore open to any peaceful means of obtaining these elements.
We have great amounts of radioactive oil.
We had also gained that impression.
Using it chiefly for manufacturing weapons and for biological research.
The military aspects are patently undesirable, and the revitalizers, of course, would make unnecessary the biological research. Therefore, if the contract appears a good one to you, we will agree to supply this planet with all of the revitalizers it requires in exchange for your radioactive ore. All of it.
Overnight, the United Nations became the central office of a planet-wide mining concession. A couple of generals here and there, a few mixed nuclear physicists managed to raise fingers of warning before being pushed aside. Who really wanted war anyway? And as for subatomic research, how far could we not go if a man had 5 lifetimes instead of 1 to develop a series of experiments? Andy and Dandy departed for home to fulfill their end of the contract. And for 2 years, the world paid attention to nothing but the stripping of its pitch blende deposits. Andy and Dandy returned in cargo ships that seemed to cover the sky. Revitalizers were erected by busy, snail-like robots at every large city on Earth. Busier robots attacked the huge piles of pitch gases with weird-looking machines. This time, Andy and Dandy left for good, taking their radioactive treasure with them, and leaving behind a huge, patient crowd waiting their turn at the revitalizers. Perhaps for the first time in our planet's history, there was universal hope and good cheer.
When will we have our turn at the revitalizer, Dick? I have some cold feet I'd like to get rid of.
Pick an age to come first, Sandra. A young girl like you'll be way down the line.
You realize that even at your present age, you'll be a youngster?
And I'm 40.
It still gives you 4.5 ordinary lifetimes to go. Isn't it wonderful to think about?
Yeah. Think how far a man could go in just one career if he devoted his entire 300 years to it.
Tell me, what will you do with those extra lives of yours?
I've been thinking about all the books I'll have time to read. All the books I'll have time to write. And marriage. And somehow I've never found time for it. But with another 250 years to go.
Really?
I'm not making any offers yet. First, let's see if these revitalizers really work. 6 months after Andy and Dandy departed into the skies, the revitalizers quit dead, stopped working.
Are you sure, Professor Tracy?
Ask any doctor. Look at your death rate.
But why? Did we do something wrong?
We did something wrong, all right. We trusted.
The boys from Betelgeuse? They done us wrong.
We made the same mistake all peoples made when they met a superior civilization. Mainzer and Lopez have taken apart one of the revitalizer motor units. There was just a trace of it left. But this time they found the power source. My boy, the revitalizers run on the fuel of completely pure radioactive elements.
No, that's not believable.
Surely a race like that would have developed a power that was more economical.
They never bothered. And they wanted our uranium to fuel their own revitalizers.
You're saying, in effect, that everything they did here on Earth was carefully planned to swindle us. Professor, they could have conquered us with their superior science.
They couldn't have conquered us. They wouldn't have tried. Not because of their ethics, but because they hadn't the energy or the concentration. They're a decadent and dying race. Andy and Dandy are probably among the few remaining who have enough get up and go to even trick backward people.
And me, the guy who did the most colossal public relations job of all time, I was a #1 sucker.
Think of me, the sociologist. I'm supposed to recognize the symptoms, and they were all there. The lack of interest in their own culture, the involved methods of thought and expression, the exaggerated etiquette, even their spaceship. If we had a tenth of their scientific knowledge, what substitutes we wouldn't have developed by now? You understand?
What hicks we are. We've been sold the Brooklyn Bridge by some dressed-up sharpies from Betelgeuse.
By a pair of sneak-thief heirs of what was once a great race.
With our atomic power stolen, will we ever have space travel?
Oh, gone down the drain, sold for a mess of pottage.
I'm not so sure, Dick.
Well, we get to the moon on methane and alcohol. You call that space travel?
I'm thinking in terms of a starship, same as you. Travel to distant galaxies. Yes, by George, even to Betelgeuse. Those simpering snails never thought we'd get off this planet, but we will. And when we do, bet your life we'll collect some tolls on that Brooklyn Bridge they sold us.
But how, Professor? How?
I don't know yet. But we've got physicists who've been splitting the atom from the very first experiment. Mark my words, we'll have space travel and to Betelgeuse.
Well, I suppose some good will come from this affair. The nations of the world showed we could all work together.
Yes. It's possible the world government will come out of that effort. Still, it's hard to forgive a swindle.
Professor, is it generally known that the revitalizers have stopped?
No, it's not.
Well, what's going to happen when the people find out? Won't there be a bad reaction?
Now we get down to the purpose of my visit, Dick.
You mean this wasn't just a friendly call?
No. I've been sent by the government, Dick. They're acutely aware of the reaction when the people learn the truth about the revitalizers. And you have been appointed to do a public relations job to prepare our good citizens for the shock.
All right, I'll do it in one condition. That if and when you ever go to Betelgeuse, I go with you.
That's it. Betelgeuse Bridge by William Penn.
thanks to Galaxy, that wonderful science fiction magazine, now in the stand. Next week, another extraordinary tale of tomorrow out of Galaxy Science Fiction magazine called The Other Now by Mary Leinster. About a fellow whose wife faithfully continued making written entries in her diary after she had died in a car accident. This is your host, O Mentor, saying, until next week, take your time before someone else does.
Tales of Tomorrow. Heard in tonight's play were Lon Clark as Dick, John Gibson as Andy, John Stanley as Sosin, and Raymond Edward Johnson as your host. Music was composed and conducted by Bobby Christian. Script adaptation by Don Whitty. Produced by ABC in association with George Foley and directed by Clark Andrews. This is Dorian St. George speaking.
This is Captain Sparks, telling you that Captain Blaze, the old pirate, has been saved from the firing squad by the fast talk of Pat Ryan. Yep, Pat finally got General Chin, the commander of the guerrilla army, to patrol Blaze into his charge. But Pat didn't want Blaze tagging him around all the time, so Burma hit upon a swell idea, and we'll touch on it in just a moment. Meanwhile, hello, gang. Gosh, March is over, and tomorrow, well, you know what tomorrow is, April Fool's Day. Say, want to play a trick on your dad? Well, tomorrow morning you say sharp and snappy, "They're shot." And when your dad answers, "What shot?" Why, you hand him a package of Quaker Puffed Wheat Sparkies or Quaker Puffed Rice Sparkies and tell him they're shot from guns. Yay! Shot from guns to make 'em double delicious. You've never seen such big, fat kernels of wheat and rice. They're exploded to 8 times bigger. Tuck away a dish full tomorrow. They're swell-a-gazam just with milk and sugar. Super scrumptious with syrup. Grand with applesauce or jelly. Why, that's a banquet of a breakfast. And bang full of restored whole grain nourishment, too. You know, the government says everyone should get plenty of whole grain nourishment because Uncle Sam wants everyone strong these days. Well, every grain of Quaker Puffed Wheat Sparkies and Quaker Puffed Rice Sparkies is a storehouse of bouncing food energy with restored whole grain amounts of good old vitamin B1, niacin, and iron, like Uncle Sam recommends. Only these luscious cereals bring you wonderful restored whole grain nourishment in this delicious form. Eat them every morning to help keep up wartime strength and morale. For tempting variety, have Quaker Puffed Wheat Sparkies one day, Quaker Puffed Rice Sparkies the next. And here's a marketing tip for Mother. They're not rationed. Grocers have plenty for all. Buy both Quaker Puffed Rice Sparkies and Quaker Puffed Wheat Sparkies shot from guns. Now back to war-torn China and adventure. Terry and his troubleshooting pals flew to Madam Chai's mountain hospital just after it was bombed by Jap planes, but no one was injured. Madam Chai was not on hand. Instead, General Chin was in command. He immediately arrested Captain Blaze and sentenced the red-whiskered scallywag to be shot. But Pat got Blaze free and was made responsible for his good behavior. Then Irma got a bright idea.
Look, old Pink Whiskers doesn't know his life has been saved, does he?
No, but he will know. I'm going to the jailhouse now and tell him he's free.
Well, he doesn't know how his hide was saved then, does he?
Well, you mean because I pulled a bright speech out of my hat and fired it at General Chin? No, he doesn't know that.
Okay, then you listen to me for a little while. You don't want old Blaze around your neck all the time, right?
No, but he's been placed in my custody, Burma.
Okay, then why don't you make a deal with Cherry Blaze?
A deal for what?
A deal for Blaze. She's always wanted him to go straight, and now she's got the chance.
Well,
Come on, let's find her. I can explain all this just as well to her. And I think she'll go for it. And so you see, Cherry, that's the way it is.
Now, I'm to tell Father that his life was spared because of me, and he's paroled in my charge.
Righto.
And if he doesn't do as I say, if he doesn't behave himself, I can send him back to the guardhouse.
That's the idea.
I can even have him shot.
Well, now, wait a minute. Not quite that.
Yippee! Well, maybe not. But if you folks don't say anything, I can make him think that.
Oh, now, look here, Cherry. There's no use rubbing it in. Be a good sport. We made this deal with you so you could turn Captain Blaze into an honest man.
Yeah, there's no need to turn him into a spineless jellyfish.
Don't jellyfish have spines?
I don't know. I never preserved any, and they're not on my ration card.
Oh, I'll play fair. He'll walk a straight line. And if he's bad, I'll send him to bed without his supper.
Come along. Let's go down and welcome the captain as he steps out of the hoosgow. We'll let you do the talking, Cherry. I say, Blaze, you can come out now. Hey, Cap. Spring out, old chap. Come out and breathe the free air.
Go away. Don't bother me.
Say, Father, I've got some news for you. Come on out.
Will you come back later?
Father.
How can I sleep with all your chattering?
Well, wake up then and watch the sunshine. You're a new man.
Oh, bless me, but a man can't sleep even in jail. That's the trouble with civilization. You don't get a chance to relax. Oh, my little carrot top. Nice of you to come to this gloomy old dungeon.
You bet it is. I saved your life.
What a gal for jokes. You chip off the old blockhead, eh, Patrick? Say, what is this, a welcome committee?
You're free, Captain. Doesn't that mean anything to you?
Well, yes. Then again, no.
And what kind of double talk is that?
Oh, I'd have been released from here sooner or later, so I would. Meanwhile, I catch up on my lost sleep.
Well, I like that. Here, I saved your life. I stop you from being shot by the firing squad. And this is all the thanks I get.
Come now, my little pepper pot.
Don't you pepper pot me, you old pirate.
It's the truth, Captain. General Chin had made up his mind to have you shot. But your life was saved because...
Maybe you better let Cherry explain that, Patrick.
Yeah. Now that your father has his eyes open, explain, Cherry.
Well, Father, you'll go free, but you're paroled in my charge. And at the first sign of disobedience, you'll go back to jail and... Hey, where you going?
I'm going to stay behind these iron bars, so I am.
But you're free.
I'm not free as long as I got you to boss me, my little dumpling.
Why, you...
There's a lot of things worse than jail, and one of them is the tongue of a nagging woman.
You come right out here, Mr. Blaze.
Not on my life. Hey, jailer, General Chin, anybody, lock me up.
You come out of that cell and do as I say.
No, thanks, Cheery. I like my freedom too well.
But you're in jail.
It isn't jail to me. Why, I'm going to fix this place up real pretty, so I am. Pin up a lot of cute pictures on the walls. Give me some lace curtains. Maybe I'll even have a flower box with geraniums in it.
You can't do this to me, Father.
And then I'm going to get myself some books. Have you read any good books lately, Patrick?
Oh, please, Father, come on out.
Cherry, my child, I've had you on my hands a long time, but I'll be doggoned if I'll ever be under your thumb.
All right. I'll tell General Chin to have you shot.
Tell him I'd like to oblige him, but I'm not getting up at sunrise anymore.
Oh.
I'm getting too old. Oh, I need my sleep.
Oh, Mr. Ryan, Burma, make him come out.
Mind if I come in your cell, Cap?
Not at all. Step right in and make yourself at home.
Oh, thank you.
Quite a cozy little nest, eh? No running water, but it's bomb-proof and quiet.
Say, this place isn't bad at all. A little small, but it'll do in a pinch.
Yeah, I got you. Just don't feel this bunny. Nice soft wood. Better than you find in most Chinese jails.
Burma, ever been in a cell in a prison?
No. Can I come in?
Why, sure. I'm holding open house. Next time, let me know you're dropping in, and I'll bake a cake.
That window is a little high up in that wall, isn't it?
Well, it has its advantages, Miss B. The sun doesn't shine in and wake me up, and I'm never in a draft.
Yeah, I see what you mean. What color are you going to do the walls of this dungeon, Captain?
Well, now, you know, that's a problem, so it is. I think whitewash is the most practical, don't you?
Yeah, I think that would be best. You can't very well put wallpaper over rough stone.
I don't like the arrangement of this room.
Well, prisoners can't be choosers, Patrick. But when you think of the other advantages...
Yeah, that's true. You've got no rent to pay, Cap.
And I get my board free, too. It isn't everybody who has the meals brought to them 3 times a day. What did you have for luncheon, for example?
Well, Father... what did we have, Pat? Rice, wasn't it? Rice and eggs and a bit of meat?
I think that's what it was.
Funny, that's exactly what I had. Brought to me on a platter. Now, where else could I get all that absolutely free?
Father!
Oh, go away. You bother me.
Well, I hope you'll be very happy here, Captain.
You folks going to be around long?
I don't know. There's a war on, you know.
Really? Well, now, I think I did well to reserve this cell.
Father, may I come in, too?
Oh, by the way, Patrick, why don't you and Terry and Burma drop in some evening? We could have a game of gin rummy.
Your daughter is trying to speak to you, Captain.
Oh, well, Cherry, what is it? Why don't you run along and play with some nice, tired aeroplane propellers?
Oh, Father, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it.
Well, now, what's all this, my pet? A child of mine in tears. Why, bless my soul, we can't have that. Now, what's the trouble?
I know I've been rough with you, Father. I know I talked back to you.
Well, now, did you now? Oh, fancy that.
But if you'll promise not to live in this jail room, I'll never bother you again.
Well, now, you're asking a great deal of your old father, so yeah.
To think that you'd rather be here than outside, and all because I was going to be in charge of you.
Wait a minute, none of that now. Oh, look at me, my dear. Don't you suppose I know why you pick on me? Why, it's because you haven't anyone else to pick on. You're not lucky like lots of other young folks. They got brothers and sisters and mothers. All you've ever had was an old red-whiskered smuggler and pirate for a father.
Oh, no, Father. I love you very much. You know I do.
I'm thankful for small favors, so I am. Now, if you'll just give me a few seconds to get my junk together, we'll go outside and start life all over again.
Listen, the air raid signal.
Hey, that's the Japs. They must be coming back here to
I'd
bomb
better
us.
get outside and see what I can do.
Come back here, Patrick. Come back, I say.
What's the trouble, Cap?
You're just like an old fire horse. The minute you hear a gong, you get all excited and want to rush to the fire. Well, the thing to do in an air raid is to stay where it's safe. And this is the safest spot in the hospital. So just sit down, all of you. Make yourselves at home. Let the Japs waste their ammunition.
Oh, Father, tell us a story.
Well, that will give me great pleasure. Well, once upon a time, there was a big bad pirate with red whiskers.
There he goes, always talking about himself.
Well, that was certainly a surprise for Cherry Blaze, wasn't it? She thought she was going to boss her father around, but he turned the tables. They'll get along a lot better now, I'm sure. But things are not going to go so well at this mountain hospital if the Japs continue to bomb it. I'll tell you what I mean in just a moment. Well, gang, how are all my young hotshots feeling? Tough as Terry and his pals? Swell. Remember, Uncle Sam wants you strong. And remember, too, that Quaker Puffed Wheat Sparkies and Quaker Puffed Rice Sparkies make a robustious breakfast for everyone, from high-voltage toddlers to war-working dads. They give you restored whole-grain nourishment, like Uncle Sam recommends. These delicious cereals shot from guns have restored whole-grain values of vitamin B1, niacin, and iron. Buy both kinds. Have wheat one day, rice the next. No ration stamps needed for Quaker Puffed Rice Sparkies and Quaker Puffed Wheat Sparkies. Now, I'll sign off with today's Victogram. We'll fly the ocean and aim to shoot the biggest heel in Italy's boot. That's all for today, gang. Till tomorrow, keep pitching for Quaker Puffed Wheat Sparkies and Quaker Puffed Rice Sparkies. They're shot from guns. Tomorrow will bring a sudden and surprising change for our friends. They will leave Madam Chai's Mountain Hospital and run into a series of wartime adventures, the like of which you'll hear about only when the gong sounds, like this.
Powder!
This is the Blue Network.
Where'd you come from, stranger?
You're looking at a big man with iron gray hair. On his right hand, a six-shooter. And at his feet, a crumpled heap of what was once an old white-haired man and his wife.
Come in, stranger. Right in. Pity you called. For your sake.
So it's the way it looks.
Nothing is the way it looks. Stranger!
Call me that strong guy. Yes, Steve Strong. But right now you're lost. Lost in the heart of the backwoods country. You're trying to get to a fishing lodge. You've been driving for 2 hours since sunset. You've seen no sign of life along the road. And then you see it. One lonely light, 200 yards off the main road. So you park your car on this apology for a road and walk it to the house. You get to the door and raise the knocker. The door's off the latch, and it slides open under the weight of your hand. And you find yourself looking at a temple of horrors. But in this temple, one of the wax dummies is moving. The other two look like they'll never move again.
Where'd you come from, stranger?
You're looking at a big man with iron gray hair, and in his right hand a six-shooter, and at his feet a crumpled heap of what was once an old white-haired man and his wife.
Come in, stranger. Right in. Pity you called. For your sake.
So it's the way it looks.
Nothing is the way it looks, stranger. Nothing.
The room starts a crazy dance. Then a big blackness comes in and takes over. Then through the blackness comes the sweet smell of roses. And with the roses, a soft grayness gives way to an aching pain in the back of your head. And with the pain, you know it's time to open your eyes.
Never lost a patient yet.
She's the sweetest looking nurse you've ever seen. And right now, she's doing an operation on your wrist. An operation with hemp rope. And the knots she ties are no lover's knots.
You've been out some time, stranger.
I'm not sure I'm all back yet.
It'll come, stranger. But I don't know for how long it'll be.
So, why didn't it happen before?
Harry was interrupted. You're lucky.
But for how long?
Like I said, you're lucky.
Yeah? If being trussed to hands and feet like a Thanksgiving turkey's being lucky...
You're my Thanksgiving turkey, Steve. You're too good to wait.
So I owe you a life. But for how long do I owe it?
Well, Harry gets out of jail.
Now, wait a minute. Just, let me catch up on a few things, huh?
All right, Steve. You catch, I'll throw. First day.
You're a brave girl with my hands tied.
Maybe I'll get to untie them one day.
Yeah? For what? All right, so the joke's on me, and I'm it. Now with a question, huh?
Go ahead, Steve.
All right. You read my wallet. Now, what's your name?
Della. You like it?
In these circumstances, can I argue?
It could help if you don't.
Della what?
Reaper.
Of?
Tanner Woods.
This is the place?
Every step.
And Harry?
Behind bars.
What?
I told you.
Yeah, you did.
What's wrong?
Just the law out here. They always act this fast.
How long do you think you were out?
A couple of hours.
4 days and 5 nights.
4 days and...
Like I said, you're lucky.
And like I said, for how long?
Till the trial's over.
They're trying him already.
Look, you're in the backwoods, Steve. We see a judge once in 2 years. So happens the courts were in session this last week, so they're rushing things through.
That's one for the books.
And one for Harry.
Well, how does that figure?
Well, I can't find the bodies. Or a motive. Leastways, not one strong enough to hang him on.
You mean he's got a good lawyer?
The best.
So Harry's got the money.
And that rules out one motive.
Yeah. But there's still me.
Yeah. And there's still these rope handcuffs and leg irons. So I don't think you'll be giving evidence, Steve.
Yeah?
So he didn't die.
No, Benny, he didn't.
Sorry.
Boss won't like it, Della.
But you didn't want him to die, Benny.
Only after you told me I didn't.
It's the same thing, Benny.
Is it?
If he died, that means you killed him. That means you could hang Benny.
You tell and I'll
Benny, stop. He's not dead, so there's nothing to tell.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right, isn't it?
Yes, Benny.
Very right, Benny. But it's only just. You nearly pushed a hole in my head.
He doesn't know just how strong he really is.
Someone should tell him.
I don't need telling.
Maybe not. But you've got to have someone do your thinking for you.
I know I ain't right. That don't make it a crime.
No one's saying it is, are they?
All right, then.
Did Harry give you any message for me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did. He said for you to bump this fella off. Said he's real explosive.
Looks like I recovered in time to write my own epitaph.
You're safe, so long as Harry's behind bars.
Why?
You know why.
Do I?
You could take me out of here, Steve. We could go places, do things. I got money. Harry's never been tied, but he's no chicken no more, Steve. I want a man who's alive. A man I can live with and do things, and not a gray-haired old man who's too tied up with big business to find time for his wife.
He'd divorce you, too. That I cannot believe.
This is my divorce suit, Steve. You say the word, and I'm divorced. With this as my only lawyer.
You're looking at the smallest and deadliest of lawmen. A neat little pocket-sized 32. You're happy you're Steve Strong and not Harry Reefer. But then you take another look at your thoughts, and you figure you're both riding losing numbers. You figure there's only one way you can be called safe, and that's to get out of here.
I've got to go now, Steve. I'll see you tomorrow.
You know you're in no position to argue, so you don't answer. And take the kiss she gives you without giving one back. You figure that way you'll keep her interested, because you remember her saying, it's always the apple in the next orchard, the one you want to taste. Right now, you're making believe as an apple. You make a watermelon look small.
Keep an eye on him, Benny. Goodbye, Steve.
Yeah. Till tomorrow. You take stock of the mountain left in the room with you. It takes no ounce of gray matter to figure he's got a head that's all bone. And with a head like that, you figure you can con him into helping you out of this fix. And the only way to get out of this fix is to untie the bands of rope around your wrists and feet. There's only two ways you can get them off. To cut them or burn them.
You want to smoke?
And Lady Luck plays him for you. And she plays him good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I light it.
No. Huh? It's, the superstition I've got, you see. I've got to light my own.
You light it with your hands like that? That I got to see.
Oh, just give me a book of matches and you'll see.
Here, take 2 books.
You show him how you do it, and he sits back in simple, big-kidded wonder and enjoys the pantomime. So you let him laugh. Right now, you're putting on a show for Benny. But later, when he rolls off to sleep, you'll stick the matches in the cracks between the floorboards and let them burn through the cords of rope that bind your wrists and feet. You've done your Chloe act and freed the bonds that bind you. And you're sitting in a car you borrowed from Harry Reefer's garage. You're driving through the night towards the town of Tanner Woods. The headlamps cut a tunnel of light through the blackness, and you start seeing familiar objects and signposts. And you remember when you saw them. You know you're approaching the Temple of Horror, the house you saw 5 nights ago. You don't know why you do it, but you swing the car into the long drive and pull up outside the house. Again, the door seems to draw you like a magnet, and you feel the prickle running up and down your spine. You try the handle, and the sensation sweeps into full flood, and your nerves do a cartwheel. The door's unlocked. And now you're in the Temple of Horror, the room where the nightmare began. Then you hear it. Your hand reaches for your gun, but it gropes on empty air, and you know all you can do is wait. And then you see it. You're in the center of the room where it all began 4 nights ago. You're standing looking at a dark shape against the dim light of the stars behind the open doorway. And then the lights switch on.
What are you doing here?
Your whole body relaxes like a piece of warm jelly.
Who are you?
That could be my question. I got here first.
What do you want?
Hey, hold on, honey. I'm no crime boy. I'm Steve Strong, private detective.
But what are you doing here?
Hold on, honey. I told you who I am. Let's hear something from you, huh?
I'm Judy Kander. My grandparents were killed in this room last week.
Oh. Yours, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I came in just after it happened. I'm very sorry.
You saw who did it?
Yeah. I saw Harry Reefer with a gun in his hand.
You know him?
I know his wife. And a bump on my head knows his handyman a lot more.
Oh, even with your evidence, it's still hopeless until we find the bodies.
I still say my evidence is enough.
Not out here, it isn't. Oh, you don't know these backwoods people. It's only your word against Harry Reefer's. And you're a stranger. As for Reefer, he's big time out here. So big he's almost a legend. Owns half of Tanner Woods. The lawyers are banking on this. By 11 o'clock, Harry Reefer will be a free man.
Unless we find the bodies first. And I think I know someone who can be persuaded to help us.
Benny.
Yeah. If he's still where I left him. You go back to Reefer's place. This time you borrowed a gun. A 6-shooter that looks more like a cannon. It came out west with Grandpa Kander. You see the light on and the door open. And you swing the artillery to where you left Benny sleeping, with a bump on his head as added inducement. So the floorboards are bare of rugs. And Benny.
Don't move, Strong.
But the air behind you is full of his voice.
Drop the gun, Strong. Drop it.
You're up early, Benny.
You hit me on the head, Strong. For that, I got a good
Now,
mind.
wait a minute, Benny. Let's keep this friendly. You hit me and I hit you. Now we're even. Let's keep it that way, huh?
You talk too much. I don't like guys who talk too much. They get me all mixed up.
Sure you don't, Benny. That's because they're always putting one over you. But Judy and me, well, we came back to help you.
Help me?
Didn't we, Judy?
Well,
Follow my lead. He's got to get his mind in a tangle. Tell him a chance.
What are you two saying there?
All right, Judy was saying I owe you nothing, that I shouldn't help you like I was going to.
Help me? What's she got against me?
That's what I say, Benny.
I'm as good as the best of them.
Sure, Benny. My guess is you're better.
Yeah?
Now, Benny, take Harry Reefer. Now, Harry, he's your boss. He gives out the orders, am I right?
Well, yeah, but I don't...
That's what I mean, Benny. He gives them. But who carries them out, huh?
Me. Benny Laker.
Yeah. See what I mean? You're the big-time guy around here. Not Reefer.
You reckon?
Sure, I reckon. Now, take where you hid the bodies.
Yeah?
Yeah. I bet Reefer didn't do anything about them. I bet he just gave the orders and left you to do the hard part. The hard part of making it tough for the police to find them.
Yeah, he did. But I fooled him. I sure fooled him.
Yeah, you sure did, Benny. It was a great joke, eh? Who'd have thought of looking in the tool shed?
Tool shed nothing. They got a better hiding place than that. No one would ever find them.
Yeah. You sure must have fooled the police. After all, they'd have to find the fresh dug earth. Yeah, that's easy.
Now, this fresh dug earth, all right, but it's hidden.
Yeah, and they'd leave mounds, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but I fooled them. One cop even wanted to play on top of them.
You mean he stood right on top? On top of the graves and didn't know it?
Yeah.
Hang on, honey, it's coming now.
Right on top he stood.
What did he want to play?
He wanted to do some putting practice. Can you beat that?
You mean like in golf?
Yeah. And he was right on top of the old couple.
Oh, no.
What's wrong with the girl?
She wanted to put some flowers on the graves. They were her folks, you know, Benny.
Oh, they was? Say, that's tough.
Yeah. She'd feel a lot better if she knew where to put the flowers.
It'd help if I showed her where?
It sure would, Benny. It takes a big heart to do what you're doing, Benny.
Okay. Oh, okay. The girl comes with me, but you stay here. And I only show her if she don't tell.
She'll promise.
Yes, I promise.
Don't do it, Judy. You're doing great, kid.
I'm sorry.
You wait for Benny and Judy to come back, and you wait with a length of 2 before. Judy comes in first, and then Benny.
No, please don't.
You look at Judy's eyes wide with terror. Then you see helpless defeat mixed in with the terror.
He didn't tell me. He changed his mind.
So he wasn't so dumb.
What can we do?
It's morning already. Time says... mine stopped 2-3 days ago.
It's after 6:30.
The trial's at 10.
Last night's paper said it'd be over by 11. Would have finished yesterday, but prosecution held out for today.
So we got less than 5 hours.
And Reefer's got 4 practice greens and fairways.
You must like golf.
Oh, he's the local club president.
That figures.
But where do we start?
You start by calling on Della Reefer. But she proves no help. So you leave her tied and gagged in a room, while you and Judy cover every inch of the practice greens and fairways. And you're reaching the last of them when Judy calls you over.
Steve, over here. I think I found it.
You go over, and it's what you've been looking for. A thin line in the grass where a large square of turf has been cut out and rolled back and replaced again. And in the middle of the square is a small mound about 6 feet by 4.
We haven't got much time, Steve. It's almost 10:30 now.
You get back to the car. This won't take me long. You dig the shovel in. You don't stop throwing earth till you find what you're looking for. The evidence that'll hang Harry Reefer. Get back to the car fast and drive off. By breaking all speed regulations, you and Judy are outside the door of the courthouse by 2 minutes to 11.
You can't go in there, mister. No, you lady.
He's big and as solid as the courthouse door behind him.
The judge is giving sentence.
You mean he's been convicted?
I don't know. Judy came back 10 minutes ago.
Then we've got to get in. We've got evidence to hang Harry Reefer.
Hey, wait. Let go of my arm.
Sorry, fella, but I insist.
And this court is adjourned and will remain closed until the next session.
Hey, Your Honor, wait!
What's the meaning of this?
What was the verdict, Your Honor?
I don't see what that has.
I've got the evidence to hang Harry Reefer.
Order! Order! You realize what you're saying, young man?
I do. And Miss Tanner can prove it with me.
We found the bodies of my grandparents in Mr. Reefer's private golf cart.
Order! 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 Sheriff, hear the court! Hear the court!
And that's the whole story, Judge.
The jury found him not guilty.
But you can't let him go. He's a murderer.
It was the court's ruling.
Judge! You'll have to give me protection, Judge.
The jury found you not guilty, Reefer.
But that crowd out there. Listen to him. Listen to him, Judge. They'll kill me.
Yeah, Harry, sure they'll kill you. You should have thought of that before. Before you wanted the old couple's land.
And there was oil on the land. They didn't want any of it. I offered to buy it. They wouldn't sell. They wanted to keep their land for grazing cattle.
They had a right. It was their land, Reefer.
Oh, Judge, listen to me. They weren't living with the times.
Yeah, so you killed them.
Yes, I killed them. But in the old days...
This isn't the old days, Reefer.
Maybe not, but you're letting him go.
But you can't let me go, Judge. You can't let me go. Not with that crowd out there.
The court found you not guilty.
But, Judge, I'm telling you, I killed them.
Reefer, you confessed too late. You heard the jury's verdict. There's nothing more to be said. This case is closed until the prosecution requests a new trial by the lawyers of the state.
No, Judge. You can't do it.
Take him outside, Sheriff. This court is closed.
You can't leave me alone out there. Here, let go of my arm. You can't do this to me. You can't do it. You can't do it.
Well, like I said, I'm a sentimental. A romantic guy. But I've got a lot of good friends in and out of the force, and I like to keep them. I also like to help keep law and order in the community. I'll be with you again. But for now, this is Steve Strong, or as I'm more often referred to, that strong guy, signing off.
Who is the 10th man? The 10th man is the one man in 10 in your community who will need emotional guidance. Yes, 1 out of every 10 persons in this country needs or will need some form of psychiatric care or treatment. What kind of treatment are they getting in your community?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ralph Bellamy. Our story is called Punishment Without Crime. And it begins way back in the year 1841. It's a cold Sunday morning in a little town near Boston, Massachusetts. A woman who looks as if she might be a school teacher is being admitted to the women's jail. She's come to conduct a Sunday school class.
Sunday school class, Mum.
That's right. Are you the jailer?
I am, but I still
My
don't...
name is Dorothea Dix. I'm taking the place of Mr. Samuel Burt.
Mr. Burt. He's one of them theological school fellas.
Yes.
I remember now. You told me you'd be coming. Right this way, Mum.
Thank you.
What's the matter, Mum?
I didn't think it was like this. So filthy.
It's good enough for the likes of them.
What was that?
Oh, that's from the loony bin.
Loony bin? You mean you keep the insane here? In jail?
No place else for 'em, Mum.
But there's no heat.
Nah, loonies don't need no heat.
Perhaps not. But that's something a doctor ought to decide. May I see those women?
We used to charge admission to see the loonies.
Well, then we've made some progress. Oh, I never realized it was so bad.
Had enough, Mum?
Not yet. Do they sleep here? Why are there no beds?
Straw's good enough for the dirty things.
Perhaps you think so. I guess too many people think so, but I don't. And I'm going to do something about it.
And that was how Dorothea Lind Dix got started on her amazing crusade for better treatment of the mentally ill. Before she died, 40 years after this episode in the jail, her efforts resulted in the founding or improving of 32 mental hospitals throughout the United States, Canada, and abroad. Strange that we should have almost forgotten this remarkable woman. Yet, after all, that was 100 years ago. But what about the present? What do we do for our mentally ill? We've improved some in our care for them, certainly. But have we improved as much as we should? Are we still punishing people for being mentally ill? Are we still putting them in jail? Here's the story of Harry Andrews, a composite case history made up of several cases from the files of the National Mental Health Foundation. Listen to it and judge for yourself.
Martha, I've told you time and time again that I can't do anything more for Harry.
But you're our family doctor. There isn't anyone else we can count on. Dr. Bryan, you've just got to help us.
Martha, I'm a family practitioner and I know my limits. There are a lot of things a family doctor can do, has to do in these parts. But fooling around with the human mind is not my line. I can't treat Harry. He needs to go to a mental hospital.
Oh, no, I can't do that to him.
It's the only thing you can do.
Oh.
Now brace up, Martha, and listen to me.
Yes?
If we can get Harry to sign the papers to have himself committed, it will save us from the nasty business of having him declared legally insane.
But he won't sign the papers.
I think we can coax him to sign.
Oh, I can't do it. He'd hate me for the rest of my life. Suppose I try to keep him at home for a while. He might get over it.
Martha, you know how I feel about that. Mental illness should be treated early, like any other disease. Well?
Oh, I can't make up my mind now. I've got to have time to think.
Dr. Bryan speaking.
This is Martha Andrews. I'm calling about Harry.
Yes, what's up?
He's gone.
Gone? Where?
I don't know. He's been gone since last night. We've been looking all over for him. Where do you suppose he'd be likely to go?
I don't know, Martha. Have you called the police?
Yes. They say the best thing for me to do is to stay home and wait until we hear. Oh, Dr. Bryan, he'd been talking wildly about running away to sea. Do you suppose he might...
Don't fret about him until we're sure. You just sit by that phone. I'll be over as soon as possible.
All right, goodbye. Oh, where can that man be? Hello?
Hello, may I speak to Mrs. Martha Andrews?
Speaking. Who is it, please?
This is Steve Culver. Sheriff over in Macon County.
The sheriff?
Is Mr. Harry Andrews your husband?
Yes. Where is he?
It's all right, lady. He's perfectly okay.
He's safe?
Yeah, but we had to lock him up.
Lock him up?
That's right, lady. Guess he had a few too many. You'd better come over and see us.
I will. I'll be right over. I'll bring the doctor along.
He don't need no doctor, lady. He ain't hurt. Just sort of high.
Oh, no. You don't understand. He's sick. He's sick.
So we thought he had had a few too many and booked him on a disorderly conduct charge. But gosh, I didn't know he was cracked. I mean, a little off.
This is so awful.
Well, the important thing is to get him out of here and into the state hospital.
Dr. Bryan, I'll never forgive myself for not doing that a long time ago.
No time for regrets now, Martha. We have something more important to think about. Well, Sheriff, can you release him to us so that we can take him to the state hospital?
No, I'm afraid I can't.
Well, why not?
It's against the law, for one thing. You know that, Doc. If you folks want to put him in the hospital, he'll have to be declared insane.
Well, how do we do that?
Oh, there's something you fill out and send in. Let's see. Maybe I got a form around here someplace.
Well, Doctor, how long will that take?
Whenever you start filling out forms, you can get set for a long tangle with red tape.
Heck, all this red tape is just to protect you citizens from getting clapped into asylums when somebody feels like getting you out of the way. You folks oughtn't to complain when the laws are made for your own good.
Well, it certainly can't be good for a sick man to be kept in jail.
I didn't write the laws, lady. Here's a form. You see, you have to file the application with a court of record. I guess the circuit judge can take care of that. And you, Doc, will have to send along a certificate of insanity. Then they'll let you know when the hearing is to be.
Hearing?
Yeah, the Lunacy Commission.
Will Harry have to be there?
Afraid so. Otherwise, it wouldn't be legal.
No, but it would be human to spare him that.
Yeah. Then the Lunacy Commission will declare him insane and issue a commitment order.
But all this rigmarole will take months.
Oh, not that long, ma'am.
Well, what about Harry? Where will he be all this while?
Right here, ma'am.
In jail?
Isn't there any other way of doing this?
Afraid not, Doc.
But it's barbarous, medieval.
Take it up with the boys at the State House, Doc. It's no concern of mine. I just enforce the law.
A commission of lunacy consisting of Julius Knapp, county clerk, Roger Buchanan, pharmacist, and William Hinckley, physician, all residents of Maitland County, has been granted judicial powers to ascertain whether or not Harry Andrews, the alleged lunatic, be sufficiently deprived of his reason as to warrant commitment to the state hospital. It is the recommendation of this commission, after having examined the said Harry Andrews, that he be declared insane, and that he be committed without delay to the state hospital.
They brought him to the hospital in a patrol wagon. He was handcuffed, Doctor, and there were 2 policemen holding on to him. He struggled a little bit, and one of them said, "They'll take care of you in there." Oh, it was just all wrong. They didn't know how to handle him. He wouldn't have tried to run away, but they shouldn't have handcuffed him. Anybody would resent that.
Yes, it was all wrong, Martha. But that's all past now. Did you see the doctor at the hospital?
Yes, he was very nice. He assured me that they'd do the best they could for Harry.
They will, too, Martha. Now, don't worry anymore. Cheer up. Before you know it, Harry will be well again, and you'll be taking him home.
Oh, Dr. Bryan, how can we ever hold up our heads again?
Nonsense, Martha. It's not a disgrace to have mental illness in the family.
Then why did they keep him in jail? And why did he have to go through those court proceedings?
There were good reasons for all that red tape once. Before the days of clinics and receiving hospitals and so forth. But we ought to be able to work out a more sensible and scientific commitment procedure. Something handled by doctors and social workers. Something that also provides full legal protection. It takes people quite a while to rid themselves of old-fashioned laws. Yes, we have to get rid of our old-fashioned ideas first.
Oh, when will that be?
When we're all a bit more human and understanding.
And when will that be?
You've got me there, Martha. You've got me there.
Harry Andrews did get well. And he did return home to Martha. But he spent 5 years of his life in a state hospital. One of the doctors there said that he probably would have gotten better a lot sooner if he'd been treated earlier. If they'd had a psychopathic ward in the general hospital, for example, where he could have gone for treatment. Or if he hadn't had to go through all that legal red tape. But a recent survey in 26 states revealed that 2 out of 3 mental patients were still being taken to state hospitals by the police. 1 out of 3 of these patients was still being lodged in jail before going to the hospital. If Dorothea Dix had returned 100 years after the day she started her liberation of the mentally ill, she still would have found many of them in jail. Yes, perhaps in your own state, she would have found some sick people herded in with criminals, behind bars, and guarded by the police. And who can blame Martha for feeling so badly when our laws use such old-fashioned terms as lunacy and insanity, words that are no longer used in medical circles? Until we reach the day when mental illness is regarded as a disease and not a disgrace, we will continue to have punishment without crime.
You have just heard Ralph Bellamy as narrator in Punishment Without Crime, produced by the National Mental Health Foundation in association with other organizations dedicated to the preservation of mental health.
The Theater Guild on the air. Tonight we bring you Paul Osborne's comedy On Borrowed Time, starring Walter Houston as Gramps and featuring Glenn Anders as Mr. Brink. As to who is playing Pud, well, we'll have a surprise for you at the end of the program.
This is the home of Dr. Jim Northrup's family in one of those quiet, small American towns. Perhaps the nicest thing about the Northrop place is the cool, grassy yard, shaded by a gnarled old apple tree. Opposite the tree is a screen door leading to the comfortable living room, where Granny Northrop usually does her knitting, while Gramps Northrop, on a summer afternoon like this, is apt to be tinkering at his basement workbench on some gadget for his 5-year-old grandson, Pud. Before long, Granny will call...
Julian? Oh, Hecate. There's your Granny.
Where's Hecate, Gramps?
Where the woodbine twineth. Julian! I'm coming. Hold your horses, can't you? Here, pal. Hide my pipe under the workbench, will you?
Sure.
Who's afraid of the female species, howbeit more carnivorous than the male, huh? Not us. Not us.
Carnivorous, not us. Carnivorous, not us.
When you two get together over some gym crack, you're as deaf as a post.
Was you calling, Nellie? Didn't hear you. Come on, give us a kiss.
I hollered loud enough to wake the dead. I suppose you were too busy smoking your filthy pipe.
Dr. Evans said 1 pipe full a day.
Smells to me like you've been smoking 6. Here, Trixie, come on. You go out for a walk with your grandpa.
Now, I'll thank you not to claim kin to me with that flea bag.
Julian.
I've got a bag
I'll give you one if you say please.
There, listen to that child. Turning your own grandson into a foul mouth like yourself. If you don't mend your ways, Julian Northrop, I'm going to talk to Jim and Susan about sending Bud away to school.
Yeah, there ain't no school to take him. He's too little.
Dimitri knows a nice boarding
Dimitri, a great jump in Jerusalem. I might have known she was at the bottom of this. The old bird stuffer.
Dimitri is a fine Christian woman, and I won't hear a word against
She's
her.
a bird stuffer.
What's a bird stuffer, Graham?
Well, it's just a bird stuffer. Adam saw a dog, and it looked like a dog, and he called it a dog. I saw your Aunt Dimitri, and she looked like a bird stuffer, and I called her a bird stuffer.
You're poisoning that child's mind, Julian Northrop, and it's got to be stopped. It's got to be. I'm going up the street to visit a little with Dimitri. I'll be back soon.
All the answers, Gramps. Hello?
Dr. Northrop, this is Joe Mellett at Gainesville. It's coming, Doctor. The baby's coming.
Hey, Pop, it's somebody called Joe Mellett. He's having a baby.
Tell him I'll be over in 20 minutes.
Can you wait 15 minutes, Joe?
Well, tell him to hurry. Hurry.
He says he's in a heck of a hurry, Pop.
Yeah, the father's always in a hurry. Hey, Susan, want a ride? I'm driving to Gainesville.
I'd love it. Take care of Pud, will you, Gramps?
Well, who else has taken care of that whippersnapper since he was born?
Whippersnapper, whippersnapper.
And stop using that crazy language. Pud repeats it.
What crazy language?
You know what I mean. Come on, Jim.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hey, you infernal behemoth, shut up.
Trixie, you're an infernal behemoth. Infernal behemoth, infernal behemoth.
Call this fast?
Well, the road's slippery, darling. Oh, there's Granny and Dimitri up ahead. They're waving at us. But Jim, stop. Jim, listen to me.
Oh, all right. But I'll give you just 1 minute. Hello, Granny. Hello, Demi.
Oh, Jim, Susan, I'm so frightened. There was a man following us.
Now, Nellie, that's all nonsense.
What'd he look like?
Strange, awful strange. And the way he looked at me with big black eyes like bottomless pits.
I swear I don't know what's got into her. Must be the heat. I didn't see a soul.
Why, you ought to be proud there's a man following you, Granny. Shows you're still in the running.
Oh,
now, you go home and lie down. That's orders, doctor's orders.
Jim, I was hoping you'd be home. I want to talk to you.
About Pud. I don't want him going to a boarding school, Demi. I've told you that. He's got a good home.
Well, there's one person in that home whose influence on the boy...
Demi, you're my wife's sister, and for some strange reason, she's fond of you.
Jim,
so you're
Jim.
welcome at my house, though I wish you'd stop picking fights with Gramps. He's an old man, and he's not very well.
I pick fights with him. Why, last time...
Granny, Jim's delivering a baby. I'm afraid we have to hurry.
Oh, dear, yes. Run along, Jim. Goodbye. Come home early.
Bye, Granny. Bye, Demi.
Willie. Look. There he is.
Who? Where?
That strange man who was following me. He's sitting in the back of their car.
Gramps, I'm hungry. Why is Mom and Pop staying so long?
Why, they went to Gainesville on account of that baby, remember? A baby's the dangdest, contrariest thing there is.
Well, why ain't Granny here?
Oh, well, you know what happens when your Granny and Aunt Dimitri get together. Yeah, better go inside now, pal. Grass is getting damp with dew. Yeah, they'll be all coming home pretty soon. Get your supper. Hey, Trixie, now you stay out here now. Go chase your tail around the grass. It'll do you good. I'll sit here on the bench a while. Oh, it's getting dark. It's cold, too. I feel so...
Mr. Julian Northrop, I believe.
What's that? Did somebody say something?
Most people don't hear me the first time.
No. I felt tired all of a sudden. I must have... Say, who are you?
You may call me Mr. Brink. I just dropped by to say that you must soon get ready to come with me.
Where are you going?
Where the woodbine twineth.
Where the wood... Well, I just said that. I made it up. Now, looky here, Mr. Brink. I don't know you. I don't know as I like you either. Why should I go with you?
Because you're very old and you're tired. Oh, yes, you act hale and hearty. But I've watched you when nobody was looking. You're 79.
78.
My book says 79. It's almost time for you. Besides, Jim and Susan have come with me.
Jim and Susan? Well, you're crazy. They drove off to Gainesville this afternoon.
People will call it an accident, but they came with me.
Jim and Susan went with you? Both of them went with you? Why? When they're both so young. Oh, poor Nellie. It's going to break her heart. And Pud, somebody'll have to look after Pud. You can't leave a little tyke like that alone. Demi'll get hold of him and she'll break his spirit. No, I can't go with you, Mr. Brink. Even if I wanted, no, you run along before. Oh.
You see? Your hour is close. The next time I come...
No, I ain't going nowhere. Now, you get out of here. You're trespassing. Now, get. Well, I'll be lollipopped. He's gone.
Julian, who were you yelling at? I could hear you all the way to the front walk.
Why, there was a fella here.
Well, I don't see anybody. You better come upstairs with me and get some rest. I feel tired, too.
All right, Nellie, I'll be up in a minute.
Gramps, who's that man?
You saw him, Pud?
Sure, he went past the kitchen window. What do you want?
He wanted me to go with him.
Where?
Where the woodbine twineth.
Oh, I know. You mean Hecate. Are you gone, Gramps?
Not on your life, I ain't. Sir, not on your sweet life.
Pud, dear, take that record off.
Why, Granny?
Because it ain't proper to play music in a Christian home so soon after a funeral.
You mean because Aunt Demetria says I'm an orphan?
You hear that? Aunt Demetria, why that skinny old hot...
Julian?
Telling things like that to the boy. If I ever hear that poltergeist...
Julian, if you swear any more...
I'm going to swear when I'm 9.
Pud,
Oh, but you said I could. Gramps have learned all the words.
Julian, did you tell that boy?
Pud, I'm writing a letter.
Who you writing to, Julian?
Reverend Murdoch. Looked kind of shabby when he was preaching that funeral sermon for Jim and Susan, so I'm sending him a check for $50. Now, that's a good deed, ain't it? Even if I say so myself.
Hey, Gramps, if you do a good deed, you can make a wish and it'll come true.
Who says so, boy?
My picture book says so. Don't you remember? You read it to me, the story about the man who did good deeds and all his wishes came true.
Must be true, then.
All right, Gramps, make a wish, make a wish. Wish me a whole truckload of chocolate bars with almonds.
No, wait. We'll just hold that wish till the time comes. And I'll think of something then. Something colossal.
Julian, it's just come to me.
What's that, Nellie?
Pud, you take Trixie out for a walk.
But, Granny, Trixie don't want no walk. Marcy just brought her back.
Now, do as I say.
Oh, all right. Come on, Trixie. Granny wants to tell Gramps something she don't want me to hear.
Julian, it wasn't an accident that killed Jim and Susan.
Now, Nellie, you don't believe they smashed up their car on purpose?
Well, I was just sitting here asking myself why this cross had been put upon us. What had we done that was bad? And suddenly, it was like the hearing the voice of God. It's a judgment on us because of you.
Me?
You and me both, Julian.
Well, what have we been doing that's bad, Nellie? I can't think of nothing, unless you've been up to something.
Well, I've been closing my eyes to the way you're ruining Pud. Oh, we can't raise that boy, Julian, all by ourselves. We're too old.
Oh, sure we can, Nellie. Same as we raised Jim. I'll keep teaching him to cuss, and you keep teaching him not to.
Hey, Gramps, somebody's stealing our apples again.
Great Judas Priest. Hey, you blasted young shite poke.
Hurry, Gramps, he's coming down out of the
If I
tree.
catch you, I'll give you such a cannon.
Gee, Gramps, he got away.
I swear, I wish that anyone that climbed that tree would have to stay up there till I let him down.
Gramps, you know what you did? You made a wish.
Huh?
A wish. You wished that anyone who climbed that tree would have to stay there till you let him down. Gramps made a wish. Gramps made a wish. Gramps... Oh, cheese it, Gramps. Here comes Aunt Demetria.
Oh, heckity.
Oh, hello, Demi. I seen you coming up the path. Come right in.
Pud, darling, come here to your Aunt Demetria.
The heck he will.
The heck I will. I hate you.
Aren't you ashamed of yourself teaching a child to talk like that, you whited sepulchre?
Why, you woman of Babylon, you...
You poltergeist.
Yeah, that's right, boy. Come on. Let's get out of this country, boy.
Come on, Trixie. We're going for a walk with Graham.
You hear what he called me, Nellie? He called me...
I know. Revelation 17:5. Don't say it, Demi. Come inside. Sit down, Demi. Sometimes I just don't know what I'm going to do. I wonder if you shouldn't bring Pud up.
Well, Nellie, it ain't that I haven't thought about it, but I couldn't afford to. That is, not unless Jim left the will.
Well, he did, Demi. He left $15,000.
$15,000?
Oh.
Would you like some iced tea, Mrs. Northrop?
Yes, I would, Marcy. It's so hot. Bring some for Miss Riffle, too.
Won't take more than a minute. Nellie, you don't mean to tell me you've got that Marcia Giles in this house?
Well, she came in to help us after the funeral. Why?
Well, her and that young Bill Murdoch carrying on just as brazen as you please. And you're allowing a person like that to be around where Pud is. Nellie Northrop.
Bud found a new mushroom right under the privet hedge.
Well, be careful, Julian. That may be a toadstool.
Well, that's what we're going to find out. Bud's waiting till I bring the plant guide. Excuse me, Miss Nellie, I'm in a hurry.
Nellie, tell him about Marcia Giles.
Oh, yes. Julian, wait a minute.
Well, what is it?
Well, it's Marcy, Julian. I'm afraid we'll have to get rid of her.
I'd like to know why.
Well, it seems that she's carrying on with young Bill Murdoch.
Good. Fine boy, Bill Murdoch.
And you're willing to have that kind of a girl in your house with Pud? Why, she's nothing more than a common little...
You're a liar.
Julian, don't talk that way to Demi. She knows what she's saying.
Well, what do you know? Tell me one thing.
All right. I saw them right in Millbauer Park.
And what were they doing right in Millbauer Park?
Kissing. Kissing like you never saw. Fair to make your blood boil. If they carry on like that in public, what must they do when they're alone?
Great jumping Judas, that makes me mad. That makes me so gosh blame mad. Miss Nellie, if you listen to another word this old hellion says, you're just a fool. I'm plain disappointed, you. I'm just plain disappointed.
Oh, dear. He can't call me a fool. He can't say he's disappointed in me.
I don't see why you stand for it, Nellie. Nellie, don't you think I should take Pud's things over now?
Pud's things?
Yes, and in the morning I'll go down to Lawyer Pilgrim's to have the papers drawn up.
What papers?
Why, about the will and the adoption and all.
Now, see here, Demi, I didn't say anything about adopting Pud. You're trying to put words in my mouth.
You just said that I should bring Pud up.
Well, if I did, I was wrong. Julian didn't mean all the things he says. He's just a rough-spoken man. Oh, dear, I just don't feel right. Must be the heat. I think I'll go up to my room. You might tell Marcy to bring me some iced tea, Demi.
Nellie, just look out that window. There's a boy going up that apple tree.
Julian never catches him. He always hollers so as to give him time to run away.
Well, I'll catch him. You nasty little thief. Come down out of that tree and take the whipping you deserve.
I can't.
Either you'll come down or I'll have the law on you.
You'll do what?
There's a boy up that tree. I'm going to whip him for trespassing.
Oh, you are? Well, thanks for telling me, Demi. Because seeing as how there's two trespassers here, I'll begin with the one that's handiest. Hey, give me that fence tail, Pud. There, on the ground.
Here, Gramps. Now hit her. Hit her on the rump.
Julian Northrop, don't you touch me.
Then you get off my property.
You'll find out whose property this is someday.
Now then, you young whippersnapper. Why don't you come down out of that tree?
Gee, mister, my britches is caught in behind. Gramps, your wish. You see, he can't come down.
What wish?
Your good deed wish, don't you remember?
Rubbish. Listen, you piccalilly apple stealer. You want to loosen your britches and come down out of that tree as fast as you can.
But, mister, Gee whiz. That's funny. They're loose now. Well, what do you
Now then, young feller, I'm going to teach you to steal.
Please, mister, I didn't steal nothing.
Here. And here.
Why, they're apples. Ripe apples.
Yeah, the next time you want some, just don't sneak around the back. Ring the front bell and ask for them.
Gee, thanks, mister. Well, so long. That's another good deed, Gramps. That makes your wish twice as strong.
Who says so?
My picture book said so.
Well, must be true then. Marcy! Marcy, come out here a minute.
Yes, Mr. Northrop?
Don't you know it's a sin to kiss men in Millbar Park?
But I didn't. I didn't kiss men in Millbar Park. I kissed only one man in Millbar Park.
What'd you kiss him in the park for?
Because we were in the park and we didn't think anybody'd see us.
Well, don't you know Dimitri's a born snooper? I say bring him up here and kiss him.
What?
Yeah, bring him up here and kiss him. It's time we had a little kissing around this house. How the heck's Pud going to learn about kissing if you don't never see any of it?
Oh, Mr. Northrop.
You in love with him?
We've been engaged all summer.
I thought I recognized the symptoms.
Bill's got only one more year at law school, and then we'll get married. He took highest honors in his class last year.
Tell that to Nellie, will you? And when you and Bill see Dimitri in the park again, make Bill give you a good big smacker right in front of her, like this.
Marcy, where's my tea?
Yeah, now you go tell her that Bill got highest honor.
All right, Mr. Northrop.
Gee, Gramps, I wish Granny would knit 2 bumps on the front of my sweater the way Marcy's got on hers.
What? Well, not that there ain't something in what you say.
Say, Gramps, I want to steal an apple, too. Boost me up the tree.
Oh, no, you don't have to steal. Oh, all right. 1, 2, up you go.
You know, Gramps, I can't get down till you let me.
Why not?
Because you wish nobody could come down till you let them. That was your good deed wish. Then you did another good deed, and that made it stick double.
Did it? Well, now I'm liable to keep you up there all week. Maybe 100 years. Depends on how I feel. Well, I think I'll stroll down to Millbar Park and pick up a few fossils for our collection.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm coming with you. Gramps, I can't let loose.
Of course you can't. You got to hang up there in that limb till I release you from a magic spell.
Let me down, Gramps. Please, my arms is tired.
Oh, no, sonny, you can't go breaking my spell like that.
Gramps, let me go. Please, Gramps, please.
Oh, well, all right. All right, let go, pal. What's the matter, boy? What's the matter?
I couldn't let go.
Of course you could.
No, I couldn't, Gramps. My hands wouldn't move. The tree was holding me.
Now listen, you little puddle whopper. That old apple tree couldn't hold nobody.
Yes, it could, Gramps. You wished it could. Your 2 good deeds wished it double.
You think so, Pud? You really think so? Golly, I'd like to get Aunt Dimitri up that tree. Wouldn't that be something?
The man in the moon and birthday cakes and my daddy.
There are millions of curably blind children who can't see their daddies, children who need your help. Operation Eyesight can do a cataract operation for just $25 so the curably blind children of the third world can see. You can help with a donation to Operation Eyesight Universal, Box 123, Calgary, Alberta, T2P 286.
Operation Eyesight helps millions of people to see. You can help too. Please.
You are tuned to FM 105.7, CHRE.
The curtain rises on the second act of On Borrowed Time, starring Walter Houston as Gramps and featuring Glenn Anders as Mr. Brink.
Mrs. Northrop.
Oh, just set it down, Marcy.
Is there anything wrong, Mrs. Northrop?
You sound so... Well, I guess I'm just kind of tired, Marcy. I'll go to sleep in a minute. Marcy, just see that Julian always has his pipe. Will you do that?
Why, yes, Mrs. Northrop, but...
You're a good girl, Marcy. Now hand me my knitting.
Here you are. Get a nice rest.
Don't you think you've done enough, Nellie Northrop?
That you, Julian? Why is it grown so dark and the canary stopped singing?
It's Mr. Brink. You're to come with me now.
Come with you? Oh, I remember you now. You're the man who followed me the day that... See here, what call have you got to come butting into my bedroom and frightening my canary? It ain't proper.
You'll feel better with me. You know, I'm not so bad as I'm made out to be.
Well, you might as well sit down and wait then, 'cause I ain't gonna stir till I finish this mitten. Julian says there won't anything keep his hands warm in winter but a pair of my mittens. That those boughten things you get at the store, they're no good. Julian's headstrong, you know. He goes out in all kinds of weather.
Are you ready now?
Now wait just a minute. I'm almost finished. There. That's got it. Don't that red stripe look pretty with the gray?
Very pretty, my dear. Come now. Give me your hand.
Yes. My hand.
Mr. Northrop! Mr. Northrop! Oh, there you are, sitting under the tree. Don't you want to come inside now? It's getting dark. Supper's nearly ready.
All right, Marcy.
Mr. Demetria came over again this afternoon, Mr. Northrop. Ask about your health.
And old sheet-dragging been over every day since Nellie's funeral, just waiting for me to die.
You've got to keep your strength up, Mr. Northrop. Besides, when you don't eat, Pud doesn't eat.
Yeah, that's what Nellie said. Pud mimics everything you do. If I only had got there in time, Marcy. We had words before she died, and I never got there in time to say I was sorry.
She would have forgiven you anything, Mr. Northrop. Oh, I forgot. Here's your pipe.
My pipe? Oh, I don't think I'll ever smoke again, Marcy. Nellie didn't like it.
But she did, Mr. Northrop. Just before she died, she took hold of my hand and said, Marcy, see that Julian always has his pipe.
Did she? Give me that pipe, Marcy.
I'll go finish supper.
Bud,
Yeah?
gonna have supper in a minute.
Oh, I'm not hungry.
Yeah, gotta eat, boy. Hungry or not. Down, Trixie, down. There's only you and me and Trixie left now, Pud. Three of us, we gotta keep up our strength.
You're gosh darn right. That pipe tastes good, Gramps?
Better than anything I know. You shouldn't cuss, boy.
Why shouldn't I? You do.
I know. I shouldn't either. Your granny didn't like it. Now, let's you and me turn over a new leaf. Huh, Pud?
What for?
So your Aunt Demetria won't say I'm a bad influence on you and try and take you away from me.
We'll kill the old pucker puss.
Hush, 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 hush. All right, that's the old leaf. Now go on in and wash. And try some soap this time.
Okay.
Now, Trixie, you stay out here. Marcy will feed you later. Call me when the table's set.
Good evening.
Can't I ever shut my eyes without you butting in?
I thought perhaps you'd like to come with me now.
No, I can't do it. I got Pud to take care of. I'm all he's got now.
I'm sorry, but you have to come. Just give me your hand.
Yes, my hand. No, not yet. Not yet. Please, Mr. Brink, do me one favor before I go.
Well?
Could I have one of those apples? I haven't even tasted one this year.
Why, of course you may.
Would it be asking too much if you'd get it for me? I'm not as spry as I used to be.
Why, of course I will. Guess I'll have to climb up. Let's see now. Oh, wait a minute. There are some nice ones up on the branch above. That's better. Now, which shall it be? This one or this one?
I don't want either of them, Mr. Brink. Because now I've got you up that tree, and by jumping Judas, you ain't coming down.
You don't know what you've done, old man. You don't know what you've done.
I know what I've done, all right. I got you trapped, Mr. Brink, tied in a bolt in the monkey wrench. And you're going to stay right up there till I let you go.
We pause now for station identification. You are listening to the Theatre Guild's comedy On Borrowed Time by Paul Osborne.
Julian Northrop, or Gramps, played by Walter Houston, has just tricked death in the beguiling person of Mr. Brink up in an apple tree. Gramps wants to keep on living so as to bring up his orphan grandson, Pud. But the boy, shrewish Aunt Demetria wants to bring up Pud herself and get Gramps out of the way.
Demetria Riffle, Doctor. I want you to meet me right away at Julian Northrop's house.
What, Miss Riffle?
Something terrible's happened, and you're his doctor. I'll be waiting in the yard beside the apple tree. Mr. Pilbeam, something terrible's happened to Julian Northrop, and you're his lawyer. I'll be waiting for you beside the apple tree.
Mr. Pilbeam, Dr. Evans, I want you to meet a friend of Julian's. His name is Mr. Brink. He's up in that apple tree.
I don't see anyone up there.
Oh, no, you can't see him, Dr. Evans. He's invisible.
He's what?
He's invisible, Mr. Pilbeam. But Julian saw him, and Pud saw him, and when Trixie touched her nose to the tree, she fell over dead. That's why they're burying her now in Millbauer Park.
That's not a very funny joke, Miss Riffle.
What would you say if I told you I believed it was the gospel truth?
I'd say you were crazy.
Oh, you would? Well, Dr. Evans, I don't believe it, but Julian does. He says he's having those men build a 7-foot fence around that tree because anybody who touched it would die. Touching that tree, in fact, is the only way one can die. There is no more death in the world, Dr. Evans, till Julian lets Mr. Brink come down out of that tree.
Now, you don't think Mr. Northrop really believes that?
I think his mind has snapped, Mr. Pilbeam. Julian Northrop is crazier than a loon.
Miss Riffle, if Julian Northrop should be insane, you'd have charge of Pud, wouldn't you?
Naturally, I'm next of kin.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Mr. Pilbeam, I intend to get that boy away from this insane man's house before something terrible happens. Dr. Evans, there is a way of acting fast in such cases.
If I think Northrop's crazy, I'll talk it over with the head of the state insane asylum.
Uncle's back again, Graham.
With Pilbeam and Evans, huh? So you told them all about it after I told you not to.
Is it true, Northrop?
Just as true as I'm standing here. I got them up there all right. Now I've got to figure out what the heck to do with them.
Look here, Northrop. Can you talk to Mr. Brink?
Sure.
Then talk to him now.
Mr. Brink, you're not mad at me, are you?
Well, I think I might be permitted a slight irritation.
Say, I got an idea. Come here, Demi. Mr. Brink, you see this old scarecrow? Her name is Demetria Riffle. Have you got her down on your book to snuff her out?
Riffle? No.
Well, Mr. Brink, I'm going to keep you up there till it's time for you to exterminate her. Them's the terms. Well, you heard him, Demi.
Oh, Julian, I'm sorry for you. I really am.
You mean you didn't? Pilbeam. Evans. You heard him.
I'm sorry, Northrop.
No. Didn't no one hear what he said?
He said, I think I might be permitted a slight irritation.
Northrop, I want to show you something.
Now, you keep away from that tree.
I'm going to pick one of those apples and
No,
eat it.
Evans, now listen to me. Todd, give me that hammer.
This one, Gramps?
You gall darn fool, those apples are sure death. You take one step toward that tree and I'll bang you.
Oh!
All right, Northrop, I just wanted to make sure that you weren't joking. Are you going to be home tonight? I've got to talk to you.
Sure. Come anytime. But leave that female Judas behind you.
It's Dr. Evans. Mr. Northrop, I want you to know I'd do anything to help you and Pod.
Thank you, Marcy.
This way, Doctor.
Yes, this is my workshop, Evans. Nowadays, I just make things for Pud.
By the way, you haven't met Willard Grimes, have you? I've been telling him about Mr. Brink and the apple tree.
Now, what'd you want to go and do that for?
Northrop, I was just going to ask you to come along with me and talk it over. Another fellow I'd like you to meet wants to hear all about it.
No, I reckon not, Mr. Grimes. You see, I don't want any more people knowing about this thing till I find some way of proving it. I figured that...
Oh, what's the use, Evans? Now get this straight, old man. I'm taking you to the state insane asylum.
You're taking me to the insane... Well, Dimitri's behind this. Where's Demi, Evans?
She's outside in the car.
Yeah, waiting for Pud, huh? Look, Mr. Grimes, there ain't nothing wrong with me.
That's what we want to find out. If you're all right, you go home again. Now, are you coming along like a good feller or else?
Well, so it looks like I got to, don't it? All right, I'll come along. Oh, wait, my badge. I've got to get my badge like I wear in parades. I'm a Spanish-American war veteran, you know.
Fine. You couldn't march without your badge now, could you?
No, here it is. Now then, you fellas better set.
Hey.
Put that gun down, Northrop.
Let me do the talking, Evans. First of all, I ain't going to no crazy house, and second, that old she-cat ain't getting Pud. But maybe I've got to prove what I say about a certain Mr. Brink.
It's useless, Northrop. Be reasonable.
Now, wait a minute. You got your medicine kit with you?
Yes, why?
Well, got anything in it? Poison enough to kill a fly?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have a potassium cyanide solution, but I...
All right, I'll make a bargain with you. You best take it, too. Because if you don't, I'm liable to go wild as all get out.
Well, let's hear your bargain.
All right. Now, you take the worst poison you've got in that bag and put it in a tumbler. And catch a fly and put him in the poison. If the fly dies, I'll go to the insane asylum. And if he don't, I stay here.
Oh, listen, Grimes, I know I can kill a fly. What do you say?
All right, it's a bargain.
All right. You get the poison, Evans, and I'll get the glass. Mr. Grimes, you catch the fly.
This stuff is strong enough to kill an elephant.
Mm-hmm. Can use this tumbler. Where's the fly? Wait. There's one.
Got him?
Got him. Now, don't get so excited, little fly. Pretty soon you'll be buzzing around good as new. In you go. Ain't much of a swimmer, is he?
I'll hold him under with the tweezers.
Yeah, let him get his belly full.
Well, I think he's had time enough.
All right, take him out. Lay him down there in the paper on the workbench. Looks kind of sick, don't he?
He's dead, Northrop.
Now, wait a minute. Give this fly a chance.
Not a stir out of him.
All right, Northrop. A bargain's a bargain.
Look, he moved.
I don't believe it.
He's moving. Drunk as a coot, but he's crawling right across that dang piece of paper.
You didn't give him enough poison, Doc.
Why, I don't understand it. He's had enough to kill a regiment.
Well, now, will you believe what I'm telling you about Mr. Brink?
I don't know what kind of a trick this is, but I came to get him, and I will.
Remember what you promised, Grimes.
What's a promise to a lunatic?
Oh, you don't believe it, huh? Even after I proved it to you.
You crazy fool. Don't point that gun at me.
Well, maybe there's another way of proving it. Evans, at this close range, if I shot Mr. Grimes through the belly, he'd die, wouldn't he?
Well, yes, but...
All right, now that's just exactly what I'm going to do.
What have you done to him? He'll be dead in an hour.
Oh, stay up that tree, Mr. Brink. If you come down now, I'm in a heck of a fix.
Now the curtain rises on the third act of On Borrowed Time, starring Walter Houston as Gramps, featuring Glenn Anders as Mr. Brink.
So great is Julian Northrop's love for his grandson, Pud, that he even succeeds in evading the dark visitor who someday comes to summon every mortal man. By ruse and by a miraculous power of his own, Julian imprisons Mr. Brink in an apple tree. The neighbors, of course, believe that the old man has lost his mind and should be removed to an asylum. And at last, in desperation, Julian has been forced to test his triumph over death by shooting a man point blank.
I asked you to drop into my office this morning, Pilbeam, because something has happened that'll turn the world upside down unless we stop it.
You mean Northrop?
He shot Grimes last night.
Huh?
He shot him 3 times in the abdomen. Grimes had internal hemorrhages. It was an hour before I could get him to the hospital.
What did he shoot him for?
He was experimenting.
Experimenting? You mean he killed a man?
He didn't kill him. According to everything I know about medicine, Grimes should have died, but he didn't. By some miracle, he's still alive.
Oh, that's funny.
It's funnier than you think, Pilbeam. I have been up all night trying to kill something. I've experimented with everything that I can lay my hands on. Insects, bugs, stray cats, every dog I find. I couldn't kill a single thing. Nothing except a mouse. And do you know how I killed that? I tied it to the end of a fishing pole, and I touched it up against that apple tree.
Good Lord. You mean what Northrop said about Mr. Brink was true?
All I know is that the old man is not crazy. I asked him to come here, too. He ought to be along any minute now.
What are you going to do?
I don't know. But if there's anything up in that tree, it's got to come down. It's got to come down.
Oh, there you are. Howdy, Pilbeam. Howdy, Evans. How's Mr. Grimes doing?
He seems to be doing all right.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. That nasty accident. Well, sir, what can I do for you?
Sit down, won't you? Northrop, I owe you an apology.
Oh, no, not at all. I wouldn't have any respect for you if you believed a thing like that right off. You're a doctor. My boy Jim was a doctor.
Yes, I'm a doctor. Let me tell you about some of my patients, Northrop. I have a man who, for 10 years, has been in constant pain. Yesterday, I took the last chance and operated on him. It wasn't successful. He's in more pain now than he ever was. I hoped that he'd die last night. He didn't.
Oh.
You remember Mrs. Trenner, Northrop?
Yeah, the nice old lady that used to have all the dogs?
Yes, she's been bedridden for 3 years. She hasn't a penny left, nothing to live for. Her only one idea is to die. Well, that's 2, and I'm just one doctor. I'm one doctor in a little town. The world must be full of people like that.
Well, if you're hinting for me to let Mr. Brink down, you're on the wrong track, young fella.
No more death. Think about that a minute, Northrop. Nobody died last night. Nobody is going to die tonight or tomorrow night. Nobody is going to die until Julian Northrop says they can. 5 years from now, the world will be so overcrowded and so full of disease and pain, it won't be fit to live in.
But you don't understand, Evans. I'm not doing this just because I want to. I'm not doing it for myself at all.
You've got to let him down, Northrop.
I've got to think of Pud. Pud can't get along without me.
Well, think hard, Northrop. By the time Pud reaches 25, you'll be, what, 98, 99? You'd only be a nuisance to Pud.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, yes,
No.
you would. Now, let Mr. Brink down today, Northrop. If you don't, I'm warning you. I'll do everything in my power to make you let him go. Sheriff, just read the decision at the end.
It is the order of this court that said Julian Northrop be committed to the Gainesville Institution for the Insane, and that the custody of the child, John Guilford Northrop, be awarded to his aunt, Demetria Riffle.
Well, Doc, you kind of got me fixed up good and proper, ain't you?
All right, Pud, you're coming with me now.
No, I ain't. Let go of me, you she-cat.
Pud?
Oh, Gramps, don't let her take me, Gramps.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to Pud a minute, if you don't mind.
All right, we'll wait outside. Come on, Sheriff, Miss Riffle.
I'm going away, Pud.
Where, Gramps?
Where the woodbine twineth.
You going with Mr. Brink? Take me too, Gramps.
Oh, no, I can't do that, boy. You've got your whole life ahead of you.
Don't want my whole life ahead of me. I want to go with you. I love you, Gramps.
You shouldn't love me that much, boy. You see, Pud, I've been thinking it over, and maybe it ain't such a good thing for you to be living with me anymore. Maybe your Aunt Demetria ain't such a old poltergeist as we thought she was.
Don't you love me anymore, Gramps?
Sure, boy, sure. But, well, it's just that I've got to go away now.
You don't love me anymore.
Now, wait a minute, boy. Wait a minute.
You don't love me anymore.
Well, what about it, Northrop?
All right, I'm coming. Demi, will you be good to Pud? Will you see that he gets some fun out of life?
I will, Julian. I have wonderful plans for him already. I'm going to send him to Miss Ramsdell's school in the fall.
Oh, that's a girls' school.
Not anymore, Julian. They're going to have 2 little boys next year.
You'll make Pud a sissy? By jumping Judas, you're still a poltergeist. I've changed my mind. I'm going to stay here and take care of Pud.
Northrop, how can you take care of Pud if you're in the asylum?
Oh, yeah, looks like you kind of got me hogtied, all right. Marcy.
Coming, Mr. Northrop.
Marcy, pack Pud's things and give them to Miss Riffle, will you?
To Miss Riffle? You think Pud's going to like that, Mr. Northrop?
Can't help it, Marcy. I've reached the end of my rope. Well, Mr. Brink, looks like the time has come.
Yes, the time has come.
I was going to let you down as soon as you'd got word that you could take Demi. Don't suppose you got word in the meantime?
No, there's been no call for Miss Ripple. There probably won't be for years.
What's that? Did I understand you to say that you were supposed to take her an hour ago?
No, I said probably wouldn't take her for years.
Well, why didn't you tell me, Mr. Brink? If you're supposed to take Demi, too.
But I'm not supposed to take her.
Well, now, this changes everything. Demi, we'll go together, just the 2 of us, like old friends.
Dr. Evans, there isn't anybody up in that tree, is there?
Mr. Brink, I was wondering if you'd do me another favor. After you've taken Demi, would you just slip the sheriff in for good measure?
Oh, no.
Oh, this is the wildest absurdity I ever heard. I have absolutely no authorization to take any of these people.
Thank you, Mr. Brink. I appreciate that. Well, now, you 2 come along now. Demi, you hang on this arm, and the sheriff, you can hang on this one. I'll lead the way.
You can't frighten me, Julian Northrop. I didn't hear a thing up that tree, not a blessed thing. Neither did anybody else.
Well, I did, Miss Demetria. I heard him.
What? What's that, Marcy?
I said I heard him, just as plain as I hear you.
What did he say?
He said if he could just come down, he'd take anybody Mr. Northrop asked him to.
That girl can't hear a word I say. She's the most inordinate liar I ever met.
He didn't say he was going to take me, did he, Marcy?
Oh, yes, he did, Miss Riffle. He said he was going to take you first.
I never said any such thing.
You hear him then, Marcy?
Yes.
What did he say? Now, be careful.
He said, please hurry and let him down, because the one he's really after is Miss Riffle.
Yep, that's what he said. Well, let's get started. I'll say the magic words. Line up, you 2. Here we go. Off to glory, where the wood fine twine.
Stop that monkey business and let me down.
Fire shiner.
Somebody stop him.
We'll do anything you ask us to, Northrop. I'll tear up the court order. Look, it's torn. You don't have to go to the asylum.
Julian, please.
All right. But keep your hands off my boy, Demi.
I will, Julian.
And keep the heck away from me, too.
I'll keep the heck away from you, too.
Now get out of here, all of you. Get off my property.
I never knew Miss Riffle could move so fast.
Oh, Marcy, I love you. By Judas Priest, I love you. Now there's nothing in the world can stop us. Just you and me and Pud.
Which world do you mean?
What's that? I don't quite understand, Mr. Brink.
Of course not, my poor man.
What did he say, Mr. Northrop?
He said, my poor man. I don't like the way he said it. No, I don't like the way he said it, Marcy.
You, Pud? Where have you been all evening?
Oh, hello, Mr. Brink. I ran away. Have Gramps and Marcy been looking for me?
I wouldn't know. What did you run away for?
Because Gramps doesn't love me anymore.
You're not big enough to run away, my little man.
I am so. And I'm not your little man. I'm not your little man at all. So there, I'll spit in your eye.
I'm afraid you might find that difficult. You couldn't reach me.
Could, too.
You'd be afraid.
I'm not afraid of anything.
Why, you're even afraid to climb this tree.
I am not. I climbed that tree before you got up it, and I climbed down again. That's more than you can do.
But you couldn't climb it now, at night. Why, you can't even climb that fence.
That's easy. I can do it with one hand.
It's a high fence. Let's see you do it.
All right.
Try over on this side. It's easier.
There. See what I tell you.
Splendid. I never thought you could.
Golly. I can see far from the top of this fence.
Can you see me?
Yes. What makes your voice so whispery, Mr. Brink?
Look at me.
Gee, you've got funny eyes, Mr. Brink. They make me dizzy.
Look at me again. That's right. Keep looking at me. Now, give me your hand. Lean forward and give me your hand. Just a bit more. Lean toward me a little bit more.
I'm falling, Grab!
This is going to stick you, Pud. Just a bit, like a needle, and it won't hurt so much. There.
Well, Doc, he'll be all right, won't he?
Northrop, he'll never be able to walk again.
Never be able to walk again? Oh, no. To drag around all your life. I can't let that happen to him. Never. Here. Come along with Gramps, son. There. I'll hold you so it don't hurt.
Northrop, where are you going with the boy?
Wait here, Doc.
But Northrop...
Mr. Brink.
Oh, it's you.
Why did you do it? Why did you do it?
My poor man. I didn't mean to hurt the boy. It was an accident that he fell off the fence. I planned to take him. It was the only way out. Already there is so much anguish in the world because you keep me here. And every hour makes it worse.
Mr. Brink, will you take us both now?
Gladly.
Come on down, then.
Oh, Gramps, my back hurts so.
Just a minute, boy. Here's Pud, Mr. Brink.
No, you first. Just touch my hand.
Well, he was quite a load before. Now he's light as a feather. Take Pud, Mr. Brink.
Yes, now.
Hello, Mr. Brink. Are we dead, Gramps?
Must be. I feel like a 2-year-old. How about you?
I feel like a 2-year-old too, Gramps.
Come along now. We have to hurry. I'm way behind schedule.
Where are we going?
You'll find out.
Anyhow, we'll be there together, won't we, Gramps?
You darn right we will. You darn tootin' right.
Julian, do you have to use such language in front of the boy?
Well, what the heck do you know about that? Nellie ain't changed. She ain't changed at all.
For the Theater Guild on the Air includes Homer Fickett, director, George Kondoff, producer, and Armina Marshall, executive director of the radio department. Music for tonight's play was composed and conducted by Harold Levy, and the play adapted for radio by Kenyon Nicholson. Your announcer, Norman Brokenshire.
Put gas in your washing machine. Take your clothes out bright and clean. When you does your wash, you'll sing. D-U-Z does everything.
Hello there. We've been waiting for you. It's time to play Truth or Consequences. Truth or Consequences, the show that does everything on the air, brought to you by Duz, the soap that does everything in your wash. And here he is, the one fellow who knows who Miss Hush is. Your Truth or Consequences man, Ralph Edwards.
Thank you, Harlow Wilcox, and greetings, party players. How does you do?
Well, Ralph, since you asked us, we does fine. We does right down the wash line, cause...
does everything. This is one of the best informed audiences in radio, Harlow. Really, I wonder if they're well informed enough to know who Miss Hush is. We'll hear the voice of Miss Hush in a few minutes and announce the biggest prizes in radio. At the microphone now, we have a lady and a gentleman. How do you do? Will the lady tell me her name, please?
Fiona Wilson.
Mrs. Wilson?
Miss Wilson.
You're having trouble with a hat.
You're getting me a husband.
What's that?
You have to get me a husband if you call me Mrs.
Please, let's don't go into that, Mrs. Miss Wilson, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Would you move the brim of your hat back and let this man in a little? Oh, it took all the hair off of you. Oh, it was there off before you came up the microphone. I'm glad. I thought the hat had done it. Miss Wilson, where are you from?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Been out here long?
3 months.
What do you do in Cleveland?
Oh, direct pageants and so and so.
A seamstress. So,
no.
Mr.
Parade.
Mr.
Bill Bruin. Bill Bruin.
Ralph Edwards. Yes, good to see you. Good to see you. How did you make out in your game today, Mr. Bruin?
Oh, no game today.
Oh, that's the UCLA group there. Yes, that's fine. All right, now, here's the... do you ever go to any of the UCLA games?
I do indeed, yes.
California games?
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. What finally happened there in the Cal game? Cal was a little behind there, my good old alma mater, but Southern Cal was head. How do you do? Now, here's a question for you. Mister, we'll have the consequences, okay?
Okay.
Okay, listen very carefully. What do you do, Mr. Bruin?
I'm a meat cutter when I'm working, but no work now.
No meat, huh?
No meat. Price is too high.
Yeah. Shall we get on? Well, Mr. H.L. Murray of Buffalo, New York wants to know, you work here in?
In Hollywood.
Yes, before that you lived in?
Boston, Mass, and Stanford, Maine.
Yes. All right. You were brought up as a boy in Stanford?
In Maine, yeah.
And you were brought up as a girl in?
In Athens, Ohio.
You commuted, probably.
That's
Cincinnati. I don't know, where's
Cleveland.
Question, why is a ship called a she? Truth or consequences? Miss Wilson, Mr. Bruin. Mr. H.L. Murray of Buffalo, New York. Sent that in. Oh, Buffalo, we'll be calling on you in a minute. Why is a ship called a she? It's always on the lookout for boys. Wilson, you should have known about that. What'd you say?
I was in submarines for 7 years.
Is that so? You finally got out. Up. All right. Truly, that's wonderful, Mr. Bruin. And we are always happy to salute the Submarine Corps, grand group. All right, you haven't told the truth, so you must pay the consequences. We'd like the two of you to take part in a little drama, okay?
Okay.
Pageants is right up your alley.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What kind of pageants do you put on in Cleveland?
Oh, big parades and historical pageants and state affairs.
Yes. Telling how Cleveland came
That's
into the
right,
state.
that's right.
All right. Now, Mr. Bruin, you will play the part in this drama of Pinky Heiferpepper. Will you say that once for me?
Pinky Heiferpepper.
That's...
Heiferpepper?
Yes, that's good. Don't say it toward me. Just say it there. All right. Pinky Heiferpepper, an officer in His Majesty's service in the mythical kingdom of Zud. That's Duz spelled backwards, you understand. Now, while you, Miss Wilson, will portray the most beautiful woman spy of all time, Penelope Putterpane. You say that once.
Penelope Putterpane.
And you say...
Penelope Putterpane.
Yes, you're doing all right. You will have to direct that toward the audience, though. All right. Now, since the scene, Mr. Bruin, since the scene calls for the two of you to be seated at a secluded restaurant having dinner, here are 2 crackers. There you are. It's an intimate place, you understand. Now, put them in your mouth, will you please, Miss Wilson? That's it. And Johnny Pollock, turn on the microphone. We'll walk over to the little table that we have here. That's it. Will you start eating your crackers, Miss Wilson? How's the taste? All right?
Fine.
Good. How are you doing, Miss Bruin?
I'll try.
Well, I think you need a little more here. Put a few more in your mouth. That's it. Ouch, my finger. Are you doing all right now? Huh? How's it taste?
A little dry.
Well, that's all right. The play is a little dry, too. You doing all right?
Very awesome.
Yes, just like the pageants, isn't it?
Very.
Yes, well, all right. Now, does this put you in the mood?
Put me somewhere.
That's it. All right. Now we're all set to go. Let's hear how Pinky Heiferpepper, here are the words to your play. Let's hear how Pinky Heiferpepper would resist the charms of that glamorous spy, Miss Penelope Putterpane, in this stirring drama. Here is your script. A little mood music, please. Buddy Cole, and we'll begin. Get ready. Okay. Penelope, you speak first.
Get Officer Heiferpepper. Don't be an old fuss budget. Pass over the pliers to Porter.
Pass over the pliers to Porter.
Penelope, I cannot. You are too full of ridicule. Truthfully, it pains me to deserve the card I want.
Yes. Don't look now, but cracker shrapnel just wiped out the first 2 rows here. You're both forgetting your dinner. Here, 2 more crackers for each of you. That's it. Continue. I didn't get it. I got it that time. Plenty. Thank you very much. All right. Now, go ahead. You talk.
Oh, Pinky, I suppose you plan to take those fine planes back to Fort Sprinklefeller.
Yes, Penelope.
Looks just like a snowstorm in there.
As the picture failed in New City. These personal toilet papers must be presented to the French tonight.
Very good, and the curtain falls.
I hope my feet stay in.
I hope they stay in, too. Thanks for that crackling performance, Miss Wilson and Mr. Bruin, so that you both will not forget tonight's dramatic effort. For 12 months, at least, you will get a year's supply of various crackers, Cheez-Its, Hi-Ho crackers, and Crispy crackers, and a carton of each to every close relative, no matter where they are. Do you have a close relative?
Oh, yeah, back in Cleveland.
Yes, well, that's as close as you can get right now. And just make out a list. Here, too, is $10 apiece consequence money and a big red box that does. Thank you and happy consequences. Now, Does nominates this week's Dishpan Duzzer. She's Mrs. Floyd Knickerbocker, 303 Helen Street, Rochester, Michigan.
Smart doesing, Mrs. Knickerbocker. You've Does covered. Does everything in your dishpan, too. From fast action on pans to gentle action on hands. You know, folks, ounce for ounce, Does gives you more suds than any strong granulated soap. Real soap suds that stand up till the last dish is done. And changing to Does from those soaps can mean real care for hands, too. Can mean softer, smoother hands. So Does your dishes. Does everything.
Does it, Harlow Wilcox, you betcha, boy. Hi, tonight, Harlow, all right?
Fine, Ralph. Great.
Good voice, good
Great.
voice.
Great.
Good week, eh?
Great. How are you?
Fine, and I'll tell you why. It's time to hear the results of one of the most unusual consequences that Truth or Consequences has ever had. For the past 4 weeks, our very good-natured contestant, Mr. John Early of Tennessee, has been performing a series of dares that you listeners have sent in. One listener even dared Mr. Early to marry her, but as we anticipated, Mr. Early refused. So we promised to give him another chance. The other chance we felt would be even more impossible than the first. It was a dare sent in first by Miss Fanny Bell Holler of Columbus, Ohio, and she dared Mr. Early to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel. Now, we gave Mr. Early an envelope with the dare written inside of it last week on Truth or Consequences and said for him to be at the place mentioned in the dare this week. We didn't give him a chance last week to open the letter and hear his reactions. We definitely felt he'd refuse, though. The $1,500 would still be intact, and we would further dangle him in suspense. However, we found out during the week that Mr. Early did make use of his ticket to Niagara Falls and that he fully expects us to tune him in there tonight. Remember, the dare is for him to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel. Our NBC outlet in Buffalo, New York, station WBEN, has forewarned us that we probably will have to eat our words and lose the $1,500 to Mr. Early. Now, don't ever let it be said that Mr. Early doesn't have courage and wit. We know his decision, and to let you hear firsthand whether or not he's going over Niagara Falls in a barrel, we take you now to Niagara Falls and to our announcer friend, Marshall Dane, standing near the falls, who will give us a first-hand description of Mr. John Early's activities. Come in, Marshall Dane at Niagara Falls.
Okay, Ralph Edwards, and greetings, everybody, from one of the 7 wonders of the world, Niagara Falls, above Buffalo on the Canadian border in New York State. Well, Ralph Edwards, I'm afraid you're going to lose your $1,500. Mr. John Early, your laughing contestant from Tennessee, has decided to really go over Niagara Falls in a barrel. Mr. Early arrived in Buffalo at station WBEN this week and enlisted the aid of our staff men to help him pull off this unbelievable stunt. Mr. Early started up the great Niagara River just a few minutes ago in a barrel. He says he is going over Niagara Falls in this barrel. Our NBC engineers up here have very ingeniously worked out a shortwave microphone setup through which we can hear Mr. Early speaking from inside the barrel as he heads up the river for Niagara Falls. So hang on to your hat and open up your pocketbook, Brother Edwards. Here we go to the man who is out to beat you. Here we go to John Early, who already is on his way to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel. Take it away, John Early, inside the barrel.
Here I am. Hello, everybody. Hello, Ralph Edwards. You thought I wouldn't do it, didn't you? Well, I'm inside the barrel on my way over Niagara Falls. I can see the great falls in front of me already. I am I want to tell you, they sure look beautiful from this airplane that I'm flying in over Niagara Falls. I'm sitting in a very nice barrel in a big DC-3 Capital liner. That Capital Airlines won't be just get even with you. I sure want to thank Capital Airliners for letting me go over Niagara Falls in a barrel. Now we're directly over Niagara Falls. There, I just went over the falls. And by golly, you can't say I didn't do it. I'll be back in Hollywood Monday morning to collect my $1,500. I wait, damn it! Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, that son of a gun! In an airplane! Went over Niagara Falls in a barrel in an airplane. He got me worse than Dusty Rhodes did. Well, I can't deny it. Mr. John Early went over Niagara Falls in a barrel, even if it was in the cabin of a Capital Airline DC-3, hundreds of feet above Niagara Falls. I told you that there was something to anticipate, and that's what it was. Well, we'll welcome him with open arms when Mr. Early returns to collect his prize. We'll be in Chicago, but he won't know that. And while we're at it, we'll send Miss Fanny Bell Holler of Columbus, Ohio, a 72-piece set of fine art sterling silver for being at the top of the list with the Niagara Falls Dare. All's well that ends well, and brother, Mr. Early sure fixed me. That's all I can say. We went over Niagara Falls in a barrel, all right. In a barrel in an airplane. Here, Harlow, take this big red box of Does down to some lady in the audience and tell her it's still the only wash-day soap of its kind, will you? From the roughest and the toughest to the whitest and the brightest, does everything.
I'll take it, and it does.
Good. Incidentally, maybe it's a good thing we're all going to Chicago for 2 weeks with Truth or Consequences. We hope to see you all at the Chicago Theater for 2 weeks. Several shows a day, beginning this Thursday, October 30th, with Truth or Consequences. The opening day has been put up a day. Thursday will open there. Oh, my. Well, let's have at the microphone, please. Gentlemen, we asked for doctors in our audience this evening, and here we have a very wonderful-looking doctor, I believe. How do you do, sir? What is your name?
Dr. Lazard.
How do you do, Dr. Lazard? Welcome to Truth or Consequences,
Thank
sir.
you.
Now, how long have you been practicing, doctor?
50 years.
Have you, sir? Well, there certainly have been remarkable advancements in the field of medicine and surgery since the horse and buggy days, haven't there, doctor?
They have.
Indeed. Where are you from, sir?
Los Angeles, California.
Born and raised?
Yes. Born and raised.
Indeed, I have. Dr. Lazard, capital L-A, capital Z-A-R-D. Is that right?
Capital L-A-Z-A-R-D.
All one word. Yeah. Yes. Well, did you use a horse and buggy in the old days?
I did.
Right here right where Los Angeles used to be?
Yes.
Yes, that would be interesting to hear about. Well, Dr. Lazard, the United States is justly proud of the yeoman service performed by the medical profession during the last war, both in the armed forces and on the home front. Truly, all of us can be grateful to the medical profession. Now, I'm going to have a question here for you. Miss it, and we'll have a little consequence for a doctor. We have doctors and lawyers and bankers and everybody else on Truth or Consequences from time to time. Name 3 modes of passenger travel named after their inventors. Truth or Consequences, Dr. Lazard.
I don't know.
3 modes of travel? That got me, too, Doctor. Pullman, Zeppelin, and Hansom. Yes, that's a handsome man, that last fellow.
You got it.
Sir?
You have it on the paper.
That's how I know. Otherwise, how would I know, Doctor? Dr. Lazard, I bet you've delivered many babies in your day, right?
Few, yes.
I bet you have. Would you like to say how many or take a guess?
Oh, about 3,000.
It's enough to populate a big city, isn't it?
Somewhat.
We call it Lazard City, isn't it? Well, for your consequence tonight, we want you to relive the old days. We want you to pretend that you've just delivered 3 babies. It's been a busy morning for you. We'd like to have 3 men in our audience come up on stage and pretend they're the 3 babies that have just been born. Any 3 men come up that want to. There's 3. Here come, fellas. That's it. All right, we'll take this one. These 3 here are all right, or these 4. Thanks, gentlemen. Okay, now, sir?
They're too big to spank.
They're too big to spank. No, they aren't, Doctor, because that's just about going to be what your consequence is. How do you do, gentlemen? How are you?
Pretty good.
Thanks for helping us out here.
Fine.
How are you tonight, sir?
Just fine.
I'd like to have you meet Dr. Lazard.
How do you do?
Yes. Now, Doctor, here are the 3 men who will pretend that they are babies that you've just delivered. Now, we've seen in movies how Doctor always sort of slap their babies to get them started. So we'll hang you 3 men upside down against this backboard here, if you will, please. Gentlemen, just get over there. And so the doctor can slap you just as if as if it were you were getting born. Come on now, we'll help you there. That's it. Stand on your hands, and we'll pull your feet up in the air. That's it. How about you? All right, yes, you get over, too. All right, now, you just go, you say the same things that might come into your head. There they are. Looks like some grade A prime ribs hanging there.
Why don't you cry?
What do you say?
That's an awful start in life to take a beating like that.
Yeah. What about this fellow now, Doctor? What do you say to him?
Can he spank?
Wow! Take it easy. I'm just a young kid, you know.
He's breathing all right, all right. Now, Dr. Lazard, let's get over here. How about this
Another one.
Take it easy, doctor. My keys in my pocket.
He was born with pants on, I guess, with the keys in the pocket there. All right. A Yale man, maybe. All right. There you are. Now, this sort of brings back old memories, doesn't it, Doctor?
Somewhat.
Yes. All right. Babies, you can straighten up there. Doesn't it seem as though you've done this once before, Doctor?
A few times.
Yes. Do any of these men look familiar to you at all?
I couldn't recognize them.
No, yes. Huh? You should know them. You brought every one of them into this world more than 30 or 35 years ago.
Well, I should recognize them.
Now, wait a minute here. Let's find out. What is this gentleman's name?
Herb Margolin.
Yes.
That name's familiar to me.
Margolin. Well, you just saw him at one time in your life, I think. Was it just the once that you saw the doctor?
I don't remember seeing him, really.
Yes, of course. Well, it was so young. And your name, sir?
Melvin Margolin.
Yes. And yours, sir?
Hyman Solomon.
Yes.
Solomon, I've known, too.
Solomon, you've known. What is your occupation, Solomon?
The meat business.
Same old stand, you see. All right, now. What about you?
Traveling salesman.
Yes.
Salesman.
Well, there you are. I can understand why you didn't recognize them. They were dressed differently then, and you can see how one man can be responsible for so many lives. Now, if you're wondering how we work this out, Doctor, let me clear it up. Your wife and nurse, Miss Shaw, cooperated with us. And remember these men, whom you knew as little yowling infants.
They did.
Yes, they did. Now, do they look... What's that?
I'll have to talk to them about it.
Yes, indeed. Well, you can get together and talk over old times at a special dinner at King's famous restaurant here in Hollywood. The baby's wives and your wife will join you. Also, here's a 14-carat, 21-jewel Bulova watch for you, Doctor, and a watch apiece for the men. Thank you all for giving us a wonderful consequence. Again, here's our thanks to the doctors of America. Good night, Dr. Lazard. Thank you, gentlemen. Now it's time for the new... Isn't he a wonderful fellow? Fine, dignified gentleman of his profession. Now it's time for the new Miss Hush contest for the March of Dimes. Although the actual March of Dimes campaign doesn't start until January, we're getting our Hush contest off to an early start. No need to tell you what last year's Mrs. Hush with Clara Bow did for the Infantile Paralysis Fund. Over $500,000 were contributed by you wonderful, warm-hearted friends who were anxious to join in the fight against polio. Now we'll give you folks at home just a minute to get your thinking caps on, and in that time I'm going to ask Harlow Wilcox a question. Did you interview that lady I sent you to, Harlow, there?
Brother, you picked a woman with a real wash day problem.
I know, the other day there. She has 7 kids.
Not only that, she has bath towels, sheets, overalls, prints, and stripes. And when I told her Does is one soap for everything in a wash like that,
she couldn't believe it, eh?
No, she couldn't. But I explained that Does is different from any other leading package soap sold for wash day. Even gives you more suds, ounce for ounce. Real soap suds with cleaning power to get work clothes shining clean, white things gloriously white. Yet this same amazing Does is safer for the newest, brightest colors you wash.
That's my boy.
Ralph, I even left her a box of Does to try.
We did? What happened?
She called today and said, hooray, Does really does everything.
Nice dozen, Harlow.
You know, folks, more and more women everywhere are choosing Does these days. So, folks, first chance you get Does. From the roughest and toughest to the whitest and brightest, does everything.
That it does, Harlow Wilcox. I see the doctor back there talking over old times with the three boys. Oh, he's really happy now. Now stand by for the voice of Miss Hush, a well-known American miss. Listen to her voice now, speaking from somewhere in the United States, and then we'll tell you how to enter the Miss Hush contest and be eligible for the first 2 weeks' giant jackpot of prizes. So far, the prizes amount to a 1947 Buick Super Convertible from the Howard Automobile Company, a complete Bendix home laundry with washer, dryer, and mangle, a round-trip ticket for 2 from any place in the United States via United Airlines Mainliner 300 across the Pacific to Honolulu, and a suite of rooms for a 2-week vacation at the Matson Line's world-famous Royal Hawaiian Hotel, all expenses paid. To that, we have added a $2,000 Columbia house trailer, completely equipped with separate bedroom, stove, and refrigerator from the Glendale Columbia Trailer Company, a $1,000 diamond and ruby Bulova wristwatch, and an RCA Victor Crestwood radio phonograph combination, plus a new 1948 RCA Victor television receiver, and a library of 100 Red Seal and popular records. Now, listen, here it is. Listen to the voice of Miss Hush, and then hear how to become eligible for these Dream World prizes. Attention, here is Miss Hush.
Second for Santa Claus, first for me, 13 for wreath, 7 for trees. Bring me an auto, a book, and a ball, and I'll say Merry Christmas in spring, not in fall.
Who is it? You'll hear again in a moment the voice of Miss Hush. Now here's how you can become eligible for the prizes and at the same time help the March of Dimes Epidemic Aid Fund to fight polio epidemics in your community next summer. Eligibility for participation in the contest is not contingent upon your contribution, but you can assist in bringing the prize of good health to those afflicted and at the same time be eligible for a treasure of prizes yourself. If you think you know whose voice it is, finish this sentence in 25 additional words or less. We should all support the March of Dimes because, and place your entry with your contribution, if you please, to the March of Dimes in an envelope addressed to Miss Hush, Hollywood, California. Make sure your name and address and telephone number are printed plainly on the upper right-hand corner of the paper upon which your entry is written. Do not include the name of Miss Hush in your entry. The March of Dimes, again, has selected 3 prominent citizens to act as final judges. They are Federal Judge J.F.T. O'Connor, Mr. Roy Naftzger, head of the L.A. County chapter of the National Foundation of the March of Dimes, and Dr. Veerling Kersey, superintendent of the Los Angeles City Schools. Now, these judges will select the first, second, and third best entry from the best entries chosen by the March of Dimes judging staff. Entries will be judged for sincerity, originality, and aptness of thought. All entries and ideas therein become the property of Truth or Consequences. None will be returned. Any resident of the United States may compete, except employees of Truth or Consequences, NBC, Procter & Gamble, their advertising agencies, and their families, and my mother and my children. The address again, Miss Hush, Hollywood, California. As stated last week, all entries received by October 27th will be entered in the first week's contest, and thereafter entries will be entered in each week's contest as received. Enter as often as you please. However, only one entry to an envelope. Now, here's how it works. You've heard the voice of Miss Hush. You'll hear her again in just a moment. Then on the Truth or Consequences show next week, we will telephone the entrant who submitted the best entry in the opinion of the judges. If you are that person, and if you're by your telephone, you will be asked to tell us the name of the well-known miss whose voice you've just heard. My conversation with you and your answer in identifying Miss Hush will be transcribed. If you're correct, you will win the giant jackpot. If you're wrong, the sender of the second best entry will be called. And if the second is wrong, the writer of the third best entry will be telephoned. The same procedure will be followed each week until the voice of Miss Hush is identified. The contest terminates when one of the entrants identifies Miss Hush. The prizes by that time may have mounted to unbelievable heights. Already there's something to dream about. Enter each weekly contest as often as you choose, however, only one entry to an envelope. And remember to include a money contribution, if you please, for the March of Dimes in each envelope. Give from your heart, folks. Harlow, would you like to give the reminders?
Right, Ralph. If you are not at your phone for any reason when we call you on the broadcast, you automatically will be eliminated. And this is important. Do not include the name of the woman you believe to be Miss Hush in your entry. Remember, finish the statement, we should all support the March of Dimes because, in 25 additional words or less, and mail with your name, address, and telephone number printed plainly in the upper right-hand corner of your entry paper to Miss Hush, Hollywood, California.
It's important, thank you, Harlow. It's important to remember that you listeners in the Eastern Time Zone will be called at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Those in the Central Time Zone will be called at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Those in the Mountain Time Zone at 6:30 Mountain Time. And you listeners in the Pacific Time Zone will be called at 5:30 Pacific Time. Each Saturday during the contest, the calls will be made at the same time. All entrants called during the contest will be allowed only one answer to the identity of Miss Hush. If no one is correct one week, 3 more fabulous prizes will be added to the jackpot the following week. Now listen, here she is again, Miss Hush, speaking from somewhere in the United States. Miss Hush, would you recite the jingle clues again, please?
Gladly, Mr. Edwards. Second for Santa Claus. First for me. 13 for wreath. 7 for tree. Bring me an auto, a book, and a ball, and I'll say Merry Christmas in spring, not in fall.
Thank you, Miss Hush. Who is it? I'm going to give the jingle again. Listen. Second for Santa Claus. First for me. 13 for wreath. 7 for tree. Bring me an auto, a book, and a ball, and I'll say Merry Christmas in spring, not in fall. Now, next week, we'll hear from Miss Hush again and make our first phone call. Get your letter in immediately and become eligible for the giant jackpot, which already amounts to a 1947 Buick Super Convertible, the complete Bendix Home Laundry, a round-trip ticket for 2 via United Airlines Mainliner 300 to Honolulu, and a suite of rooms for 2 weeks' vacation at the Matson Line's world-famous Royal Hawaiian Hotel, all expenses paid, a $2,000 Columbia House trailer, a $1,000 Diamond and Ruby Bulova wristwatch, and an RCA Victor radio phonograph combination, plus a new 1948 RCA Victor television receiver, and a library of 100 Red Seal and popular records. Listen in next week on Truth or Consequences for Miss Hush. Who is she? Well, how does you do? It's our happy-go-lucky singers with their merry washing machine. Hello.
D-U-Z. Put does in your washing machine.
Work clothes come out oh so clean.
White things white and colored things bright.
D-U-Z does everything. From the roughest and the toughest to the whitest and the brightest.
No soap quite like does before.
Does is different, does more.
When you does your wash, you'll sing.
D-U-Z does everything. D-U-Z, D-U-Z.
I'm going to whistle that sometime. That was Sensational Kids, and the grand prize winner tonight was Dr. Lazar. A $25 savings bond. Next week is National Radio Week, ladies and gentlemen. A good time to think of the great pleasure radio brings to your life every week throughout the year. This is Ralph Edwards sending you dozens of good washes, and until next week when we greet you from Chicago, see you for 2 weeks at the Chicago Theater, several shows a day beginning this Thursday, and make our first call for a Miss Hush winner next Saturday on Truth or Consequences. Good night, everybody!
This is Harlow Wilcox speaking for Procter & Gamble, the makers of Does. Ralph Edwards' Truth or Consequences came to you from Hollywood, Buffalo, and Miss Hush's Hideaway.
Prepare to be dazzled. See your hair shine its brightest with new improved Dreen shampoo. Compared to dulling soap shampoos, new Dreen reveals up to 33% more sheen. Yes, after your very first Dreen shampoo, you'll see up to 33% more sheen in your hair.
Extra. Money. $25,000 must be won in Dreen's sensational contest. First prize, $10,000. Get entry blank and complete information at your dealer. You may win a fortune. Don't miss Dreen's $25,000 contest.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.